Chapter 1365. You'd better be clear that this is Huaxia's territory. Do you know who we are? You'd better think carefully about the consequences of touching us. Fu Tian made a decision. A wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. It was impossible for the six of them to be a match for such an expert. Christian smiled faintly. Of course I know who you are. You're the tall, rich, and handsome men that Huaxia can't touch. Unfortunately, I like to touch things that ordinary people don't dare to touch. I like to touch things that ordinary people don't dare to offend or provoke. You don't know who I am. If you did, you wouldn't be so arrogant. Ha! Was he also a F***king killer? Di Cheng stared at Christian with his eyes wide open. Was he here for Xiong Zhozhou? But Xiong Zhozhou had said that he had shaken off those people who were chasing after him. Di Cheng gathered his courage. There might be some fish that had escaped the net, and were prepared to capture him to deal with Xiong Zhozhou. I know. Your target should be me, right? If that's the case, let my brothers leave. I'll go with you alone. Don't care about anything else. Just come at me. What kind of situation was this? This bastard was still acting tough. Nieli gritted his teeth. No matter how good Di Cheng was at bragging, he was still a loyal brother. How could he let him bear the responsibility alone? Don't say such things. If he dares to touch you, your brother Li will be the first to react. I don't believe that this bastard dares to kill people in Huaxia. Christian scratched his head helplessly. If necessary, I won't show mercy. So you'd better not try to test my bottom line. My bottom line was very shallow, and my patience was limited. Once I was forced to make a move, I would not hesitate. If you really force me to fight you, you won't have the chance to regret. Let me tell you, if you have the guts, kill me today. If you can't kill me today, I'll definitely find a chance to kill you. Nieli gritted his teeth and said, if you don't believe me, let's try. I'll also let you know that there's no medicine for regret in this world. Since you've said so, I'll have to kill you, Christian said calmly. Compared to Nieli, he was not agitated at all. It was precisely this kind of person who could really do such a thing. It's not that I don't want to give you a chance. You don't cherish it. Since you want to die so much, then let me try and see what kind of effect it will have. Before Nieli could finish his sentence, Christian had already made his move. He charged towards Nieli like a bolt of lightning. Before Nieli could react, Christian had already grabbed him by the throat and lifted him above his head. Nieli's entire body was instantly suffocated, and he was so frightened that he couldn't struggle at all. There was only one outcome waiting for him, and that was to be strangled to death in the hands of his opponent. This kind of person would definitely do what he said. They killed people as if they were stepping on ants. Killing a person would not be a burden at all. The hands of these people were stained with the blood of countless people. Why would he care about killing one more? Fu Tian didn't want to see his brother being strangled to death in front of him. He didn't have the ability to resist this perverted foreigner in front of him, so he could only choose to surrender. As long as surrendering could save his brother's life, he was willing to surrender in front of this foreigner. Wait a minute, Fu Tian shouted. As long as you let him go. Whatever you want to ask us, I'll tell you everything. As long as I know, I'll tell you everything. But you have to let him go. Let my brother go. I only have this small request. As long as you agree to it, you can ask me whatever you want to ask. I'll tell you everything I know. Christian loosened his grip a little. Nieli, who was able to catch his breath, desperately breathed in the stale air of Yanjing. Although the PM value was quite high, and it was full of the smell of exhaust gas, he still greedily took big breaths. God knows if this foreigner would suddenly strangle him to death again. A wise man submits to circumstances. If I didn't guess wrongly, you should be the one with the most authority among your brothers and friends. Christian said faintly, I believe you are a man of your word. He. I'll release your men, but you have to promise me that you will tell me everything you know and not hide anything from me. If you dare to play tricks with me, you should be very clear about the consequences, right? Fu Tian nodded. I know that people like you don't care about 1 or 2 more lives, so you can rest assured. As long as you let my brother go, I'll listen to you obediently and do things according to your orders. I won't drag you down. Ha 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 ha, with your words, I'm much more relieved. As Christian finished speaking, he directly threw Nieli's body to the side. Huang Xiaohan and Wu Xiuqing quickly caught Nieli. At this time, Nieli was already at his last breath. The 5 strong handprints on his neck were shocking. What exactly do you want to know? What do people like you want to know about us? Fu Tian said faintly. At this time, Di Qing walked behind Fu Tian and said to Christian, if you're here for Xiong Zhozhou, then this matter has nothing to do with them. You only need to look for me. They have nothing to do with Xiong Zhozhou at all. Christian was stunned. Who was Xiong Zhozhou? What did he have to do with him? Then Di Qing threatened again. But I'm warning you. If you dare to touch me, you'd better think about the consequences yourself. Xiong Zhozhou will definitely not let you go. This is Huaxia. Do you think that you're a match for Xiong Zhozhou alone? At this time, Fu Tian and the others looked at Di Qing in surprise. It turned out that the Xiong Zhozhou he had mentioned was not a bluff, but a real person. Di Qing's identity as the child who cried wolf had long been ingrained in everyone's hearts. Therefore, it was very difficult for them to believe what he said. Christian waved his hand and glanced at Di Qing impatiently. I'm not the least bit interested in this Xiong Zhozhou you're talking about. You'd better shut up. I don't have time to waste on you. Do you understand? Ask whatever you want. I don't have time to waste on you either, Fu Tian reminded him. Christian glanced at Fu Tian and smiled disdainfully. You're really annoying. Hasn't anyone told you before? Ha ha ha. Brat, don't try to play tricks with me with every word that comes out of your mouth. Let me ask you, what's your relationship with Su Yin? Su Yin? Fu Tian's mind buzzed. Why had this guy brought up Brother Yin? As soon as the words Su Yin came out of his mouth, Fu Tian, Huang Xiaohan, Wu Xiuqing, Gao Wanya, and even the dying Nieli widened their eyes in astonishment. Why had this person come to them when he was looking for Su Yin? Di Qing was also very surprised. It turned out that the dragon warrior really existed. He was not a fictional character that Nieli had deliberately made up to resist him. Fu Tian tried his best to calm his breathing. He could not speak carelessly about Brother Yin. Foreigner, do you not understand the situation in Huaxia? There are 1 billion people in Huaxia, so the probability of having the same name is quite high. However, I know quite a few people called Su Yin. Some are in the car business, some are in the pharmaceutical business, some are in the construction business, some are in the restaurant chain business, some are in the online shopping business, and some are in the logistics business. Do you want to know which Su Yin I'm related to? A cold light flashed and Fu Tian's lower abdomen was hit by Christian's flying kick. The excruciating pain made Fu Tian unable to stand up. Wasn't this guy a little too ruthless? Chapter 1366. Brother, I remember reminding you not to play any tricks with me. If you dare to play any tricks with me, I will not let you off. Christian was still smiling. Do you want me to remind you again not to play any tricks with me? Without waiting for Fu Tian to recover from the impact of this kick, Christian kicked him again. Fu Tian had been trying his best to hold it in, but this time he couldn't hold it in any longer. With a wah, he almost vomited out all the wine he had drunk that night. However, the more sober he was, the more Fu Tian understood the importance of this matter. This guy was looking for Su Yin, which meant that this guy was a very dangerous person. Once this guy managed to get information out of his mouth, it was very likely to put Su Yin in danger, or even put some of the country's secrets in danger. This was a very serious situation. Even if Fu Tian did not want to endure this kind of torture, but at this crucial moment, he still clenched his teeth. Who said that the rich second generation did not have any backbone? F***K. I am also a person with backbone. Just because I was beaten up twice, I will say everything? If word of this got out in the future, how would he, Fu Tian, be able to continue living in this world? Then how can I raise my head in front of the Song brothers? Fu Tian made up his mind. Although I am not a big shot, but I am a man. I will not allow this to happen to me. A man lives on his last breath, and a tree lives on its bark. If he did not even have this bit of backbone, then can he still be considered a descendant of the Fu family? You must believe me. I am telling the truth. Fu Tian was still stubborn. I have liked to make friends since I was young. That's why I know a lot of people. It is normal to have people with the same name. If you don't believe me, you can ask them. Among the people we know, there are people with the same name as Bastard. I am just telling the truth. I have no intention of not cooperating with you. You are too hot-tempered. You should at least tell me which Su Yin it is. Otherwise, I'll just randomly tell you one. And it's not the one you're looking for. That would be a joke. Of course, Christian did not believe Fu Tian's nonsense. He was 100% sure that Fu Tian knew who Su Yin was. Well, I'll give you a hint. This Su Yin has a nickname, Yin Long. Yin Long. Fu Tian was stunned. I'm sorry, bro. Among the Su Yin I know, I've never heard of anyone with such a lame nickname. Among the Su Yin I know, some are called De Wu, and some are called Ergo. They are all very fashionable, high-end and classy nicknames. They're not as tacky as you said. Dragon tacky too tacky. Christian knew that this kid was testing his patience. That's enough. I really don't have that much patience. Let me give you another reminder. Tonight at the nightclub, I was sitting right next to you. You've mentioned Su Yun and the Mystical Dragon Brigade more than once, so I'll tell you directly that the person I'm looking for is this Su Yun you've been talking about. Am I clear enough now? What else do you want to explain? Nieli was dumbfounded. It seemed that the reason why he got into such a big trouble today was because of his loose mouth. He had spouted nonsense. Now he had provoked someone he shouldn't have, right? But it was too late for regrets now. What had happened had happened. What the hell could he do now? This foreigner knew so much. Could he be a spy? Di Cheng was also quite surprised. It turned out that not only was Xiong Zhozhou not bragging, but the dragon fighter that Nieli had mentioned was also not a virtual character created by bragging. He also existed in reality. And he was definitely not a good person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have provoked such a ruthless person to inquire about him. With one look, it was obvious that he wanted to find his nest and deal with him. There was no way he could run away from this. Bro, we're just bragging among ourselves. Fu Tian said. How can there be a divine dragon fighter in this world? It's not like this is a two-dimensional world. I think you've been watching too many Japanese cartoons and became obsessed, right? Bro, there really isn't a dragon fighter you're looking for here. We're just talking nonsense. You've really found the wrong person. After a pause, Fu Tian continued. If it's because my brothers and I talked nonsense and caused you to misunderstand, we'll apologize to you. Let's find a place to have a few drinks and apologize. Let's just let this matter pass. Fu Tian had always been a fearless person. In the past, when he encountered such things, he would definitely fight to the death. He was really not afraid of anyone. However, ever since he came into contact with Su Yun, he had learned something from Su Yun. He had become calmer and calmer. When he encountered things, he wasn't anxious at all. He knew how to use his brain to think about problems and analyze the pros and cons of a matter. He was now analyzing the pros and cons of this matter, and came to a conclusion. Now, even if he had to lower his head and pretend to be a coward, he couldn't say anything that shouldn't be said. Therefore, no matter how much humiliation he endured, he would accept it. Today, he would pretend to be a coward until the end. No matter how this bastard slapped his face, he would accept it. He absolutely couldn't betray Brother Yin. Fu Tian would never let himself be the kind of person who would be looked down upon. It seems that you really don't intend to cooperate with me, Christian said faintly. If that's the case, then I can't go back on my words. I remember that I said that if you play any tricks, I will make you regret it. I'm telling the truth. I'm not playing any tricks. It's just that you don't want to believe me. Fu Tian said. I really don't know any dragon fighter, and I really don't know any Yen Long or fire dragon. The few people I know by the name of Su Yun are all high-level talents who graduated from the intensive class of Huangxiang Excavator Technical School in Dongshan, Huaxia. I definitely don't know that lousy Su Yun that you're looking for, really. Fu Tian really had no choice but to bring out Huangxiang, who was the best excavator at the school, but unfortunately Christian didn't appreciate it at all. The smile on his face was getting colder and colder. Okay, if you don't want to say it, then I'll think of a way to make you say it. Since you're so loyal and don't want to betray your friends, I believe that it will be difficult to pry open your mouth. Perhaps it will be meaningless to do anything to you, right? Torture? Fu Tian's Adam's apple moved. What kind of suffering had the martyrs of the Huaxia Revolution not experienced? Tiger stools, chilly water, needles pricking fingernails. F***K. Come at me if you have the guts. Let's see if I'm a tough guy. Fu Tian had hardened his heart and thrown him out. Even if you kill him today, he won't betray Su Yun. But in the future, don't let him seize the opportunity. If he did, he would personally cripple this yellow-haired foreigner with his own hands. If you don't believe me, then give it a try. However, Christian did not touch Fu Tian. Instead, he stepped in front of Huang Xiaohan, and suddenly pulled Huang Xiaohan in front of him. Before Huang Xiaohan could react, Christian used an extremely violent method to bend Huang Xiaohan's arm to an unimaginable angle. The white bones of the forearm directly pierced through the skin, and were exposed to the air. When Huang Xiaohan realized that he was injured, the pain in his mind had already surpassed the pain in his body. He almost fainted from the roar. When he saw his own bones piercing through his skin, Huang Xiaohan couldn't accept the fear. Everyone who saw this scene completely collapsed. They were not only facing a fierce person, but also a pervert. This is simply a madman. How could he do that to someone? This bastard. Unfortunately, they didn't have the ability to compete with the person in front of them. It was a one-sided situation. They couldn't resist at all. You are a madman. Fu Tian really hoped that everything in front of him was an illusion caused by drinking too much. Regret? Christian said faintly. But it's too late to regret. Your friend, your brother, because you didn't cooperate, they suffered such inhumane torture. His arm will be crippled for the rest of his life. Remember, it's forever. After a pause, Christian continued. Then let me ask you again. What is the relationship between Su Yun and you? If you don't cooperate, then among your brothers, there will be a lucky person who will become a cripple for the rest of his life. Ha ha ha, who will that person be? Or have you finally thought it through and realized that you should say what you should say? Then everyone will be safe and sound, and we will still be good brothers in the future? Enough, you are enough. Fu Tian was really scared. Why do you have to be like this? The rest of the people, Wu Xiqing, Gao Wanya, Nieli and Di Cheng, all looked at Fu Tian in horror. Could one sentence from Fu Tian make them regret for the rest of their lives? Chapter 1367. Are you going to sacrifice so many people for him? Or are you going to sacrifice him for so many people? Christian smiled. What's more, he's so powerful in your eyes. Maybe I'm not his match. What do you think? Fu Tian gritted his teeth and glared at Christian fiercely. However, Christian did not vent his anger on him at all. Instead, he wanted to make a move on the others. Adler had given them enough education in human psychology, so Christian knew what methods to use to provoke Fu Tian. Dealing with his brother would definitely be more effective than dealing with him. He only needed to make him understand a simple truth. Su Yun was far stronger than the people around him. The people around him were not even qualified to be cannon fodder. He did not need to use these innocent people to insist on what he thought should be insisted on, because in the face of a powerful threat, his insistence might be nothing more than bullshit. What he insisted on would not be exchanged for anything, but would only cause more brothers and friends to die. With a simple psychological blow, Christian could completely crush Fu Tian's weak heart. After all, they were not at the same level at all. In front of Christian, Fu Tian was really no different from a primary school student. It could be said that he was completely under Christian's control. What do you want? Don't do anything to them. They are innocent. If you have anything to do with them, just come at me. It has nothing to do with them. Fu Tian almost gritted his teeth. Why do you have to force me like this? I don't have any enmity with you. I beg you, let my brothers go. Then you plan to continue to insist on protecting Su Yun? Christian smiled and said, ha 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 ha. I'm sorry. If that's the case, you can only apologize to your brothers here. I will make them live the rest of their lives one by one. The reason for all this is because of your ridiculous persistence. Ha ha ha. I don't know if your brothers will continue to be brothers with you after they figure it out. This guy is simply a demon. A devil. A bastard who will definitely go to hell after he dies. Fu Tian's heart was on the verge of collapse. Heavens! We're not familiar with him. If he wants to know something, just tell him. Do you really want to see everyone get crippled? Nieli wasn't a coward, but at this moment, he was very clear that if Fu Tian didn't do anything, they would really be powerless to reverse the situation. At that time, they would be the ones to regret it. It was definitely not Su Yun. Although they respected Su Yun very much, if they were to be crippled and killed by this pervert because of him, what honor would they get? No one even knew why they were crippled. It was not worth it at all. Thinking of the tragic scene just now, Nieli didn't want them to become disabled in the future. This was a lifetime. This was not a computer game where you could revive after dying. Dying in real life meant dying. There was no such thing as resurrection. We're not familiar with that Su Yun. We only know each other because of some things. Seeing that Fu Tian didn't respond, Nieli quickly explained to Christian. We only have such a small relationship with him. At most, we're just acquaintances. What I said is the truth. Really. Even if you're not familiar with him, I believe that you can at least invite him over, right? Christian's gaze still fell on Fu Tian, because he was sure that among the people present, he was the only one who could contact Su Yun. Because the person who easily confessed Su Yun's identity must have a very shallow relationship with Su Yun. The only person who would protect Su Yun was Fu Tian, so Fu Tian was the only one who had the closest relationship with Su Yun. The only one who could contact Su Yun was probably himself. If Nieli could contact him, he would have already sold him out, right? Enough. I said this matter is only related to me. Fu Tian said, let's make a deal. You let them go, and I'll stay. I'll help you contact Su Yun. Little brother, do you think I'm an idiot? Your weakness is these people. If I let these people go, what can I use to control you? Christian said lightly. You know very well that the person I'm looking for is Su Yun, not you. If I kill you, I'll lose the clue of Su Yun. So I won't kill you. You're not bad. You can still be so rational at this time. I think highly of you. However, if you continue to challenge me, the next person to be crippled will be. As he spoke, Christian's gaze had already turned to Nieli. Stop. Let's talk. Whatever you want, I'll cooperate with you, but you can't hurt them anymore. Fu Tian said, I'll cooperate. You have to remember that we're not cooperating. I'm threatening you, understand? So, you don't have the qualification to negotiate with me. Christian still said in a calm voice. If you understand this, everything between us will be much easier. If you can't see through such a simple problem, it only shows that your intelligence is used in the wrong place. Fu Tian sneered and looked up at the foreigner in front of him. He would remember this face as long as he didn't die tonight. Even if he used a lot of connections and wasted a lot of energy, he wouldn't let this bastard go. He wanted to return what this bastard had done to them 10,000 times over. You can give Su Yun a call and tell him everything that's happened. If he's really worthy of your perseverance, then he will definitely come to help you. If he's not, then he definitely won't come. If he won't come, then you're still persevering for him. Isn't that too stupid? Christian suggested. Fu Tian laughed and said, your idea is really good, but I'm not a fool. I'll contact Su Yun. It's definitely not to compromise with you. Brother Yun will definitely come. He's a righteous person. You'd better not regret it. As long as he comes, you will definitely die miserably. That's my business. You don't have to worry about it. Christian said. What you have to do is to call him for me. It's that simple. Fu Tian clenched his teeth and said in his heart, Brother Yun, I really have no other way. The only person who can save my brothers is you. If it's really inconvenient for you to come out, I won't blame you. If you can help me, please help me. If I, Fu Tian, am tortured, then it's fine, but I can't implicate my brothers to suffer with me. After a final struggle in his heart, Fu Tian finally chose to call Su Yun's phone. Although he must be asleep in the middle of the night, he couldn't do anything about it. It was just that whether Su Yun could be in Yanjing now was a problem. In the end, how their fate would change today depended on this phone call. You'd better give a better reason. Just as Fu Tian made the call, Christian had already controlled Nieli and grabbed Nieli's skull. Listen to my words. Otherwise, I'll let him be a vegetable with cerebral palsy for the rest of his life. Fu Tian shuddered. He had no choice now. He could only be manipulated by this damn foreigner. You said that you were kidnapped by robbers. He's the only one you can ask for help. He'll definitely come and save you. After Christian finished speaking, the hand that grabbed Nieli's skull had blue veins popping out. Nieli's face changed instantly. It's so painful. I'll listen to you. I'll listen to you, Fu Tian said in a panic. Chapter 1368. In the middle of the night, Su Yun was sleeping soundly when he was woken up by a phone call. There were only two kinds of people who would call him at this time. One was someone who really had an urgent matter, and the other was someone who wanted to scam him. Su Yun picked up the phone in a daze. If it was a scam call, Su Yun was even prepared to curse the other party's entire family. However, the phone was silent. He would never have thought that at this moment, on the other end of the phone, Fu Tian was actually being controlled by General Aid's favorite disciple, Christian. Brother Yin, it's me, little Tian. Fu Tian's heart was in a mess. He really didn't want to lie to Su Yun, but reality made him feel powerless. If he didn't do this, these brothers. Just thinking about it made Fu Tian feel weak all over. The world was just that unfair. The strong preyed on the weak. Facing a guy who could easily kill the people around you at any time, you didn't even have the slightest chance to resist. Su Yun was a little surprised. Fu Tian wouldn't casually contact him. In the middle of the night, Fu Tian was such a hedonistic young master. Could it be that he was inviting him to drink wine and participate in some underwear party? If that was the case, Su Yun must educate him properly. He must learn more about Marxism-Leninism and stop indulging in wine and women. It wasn't good to be like this at such a young age. When his body was hollowed out in the future, he would be the one who would regret it. It's so late. What's the matter? Su Yun yawned. If you have something to fart, just spit it out. I have a temper when I wake up, so don't tremble when I get angry. It's best if you give me a reason to not get angry at this time of the night. Brother Yin, are you in Yanjing? Fu Tian took a deep breath and mustered his courage to ask. He was in a dilemma right now. He hoped that Su Yun wasn't here, but he also hoped that Su Yun was here. That kind of dilemma made him a little inarticulate. Well, if you're not in Beijing, then forget it. When Christian heard Fu Tian's words, he glared at him fiercely and pointed at Nieli, who was under his control, warning him not to play any more tricks. If he played any more tricks, don't blame him for being merciless. He didn't want to kill anyone, but if he was really forced into a corner, he wouldn't be polite to anyone. As long as Fu Tian said something unimportant again, he would let him know the consequences. Su Yun was stunned. What kind of trouble did this brat encounter? Why is he so agitated? I'm in Beijing. How did you know? If you want to treat me to a drink, we'll talk about it another day. I've been quite busy recently. I'm too busy. Fu Tian really wanted to talk about it another day, but that foreigner couldn't wait for another day. If he said something wrong, it could cause Nieli to be in a vegetative state for the rest of his life. Brother Yin, I've been kidnapped. Can you help me? You've been kidnapped? Su Yun couldn't hold it in and laughed out loud. How many people in Yanjing don't know who you are, young Master Fu? Kidnapping you? Wouldn't that be courting death for himself? Don't joke around. What's the matter? Be serious. Do you really not want me to sleep in the middle of the night? I'm telling the truth, Fu Tian said helplessly. As he said that, he glanced at Christian. His gaze seemed to be saying, look, if I can't get them here, I can't say that I didn't try hard enough. It's because they can't believe it. If they don't believe it, then I can't force them to believe it, right? Christian looked at Fu Tian expressionlessly. He didn't have any intention of listening to his explanation. As long as Fu Tian couldn't get them here, Fu Tian and the others would be wrong souls under his hands. Blame it on Su Yun. It had nothing to do with him. He was just doing what he had to do. Brother Yin, my life is really hanging by a thread. If you don't come and help me, I'll definitely die in Maple Forest. I will definitely die in Maple Forest Park today, Fu Tian said. Big brother Yin, if you have the time, come and help me. *CK off, stop talking nonsense. Su Yin laughed and scolded. If you are really kidnapped, then you should call your father. At most, they will ask for a ransom of 10 million yuan. It's not like your family can't afford it. Well, I'm going to sleep. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. You Fu Tian are the only son of the Fu family. Believe me, the people who kidnapped you will only want your money. They won't want your life. You can rest assured and stay here. After that, Su Yin hung up the phone directly. Fu Tian was stunned. What was going on? Everyone's face was full of shock. Fu Tian had tried his best, and even risked his life to protect a person. How could he be so unloyal? They just said a few words, and the other side hung up the phone. It was simply too unloyal. If Nieli wasn't controlled by Christian at this moment, he would have roared. Everyone's heart was surging. They couldn't believe that those words were said by Su Yin. They respected Su Yin, but they didn't expect Su Yin to disappoint them so much. This huge contrast made them unable to accept it. It was too unbearable. You heard it, right? Fu Tian's performance was quite calm. He almost didn't have any emotional fluctuations. He looked up at Christian and said, I have tried my best, but he really won't come. It's meaningless for you to continue to make things difficult for us. I can give you money. I can give you anything you want. If you let my brothers go now, I'll call home and I'll transfer the money to your account within 10 minutes. How much do you want? Give me a number. Christian stared at Fu Tian ferociously. I'm not a lowly kidnapper. I want people, not money. You heard it too. It's not that we don't want to help you. It's that person who is unloyal. He won't come at all. Diqing hurriedly explained. You can't blame us. That person doesn't treat us as friends, so we don't have enough weight to be used as bargaining chips. You should find someone with enough weight to be your bargaining chip. We can help you as long as you let us go. Now, they had to fight for time to bring Huang Xiaohan to the hospital as soon as possible. If his arm didn't get treated in time, the consequences would be unimaginable once it got infected. Moreover, Huang Xiaohan had already fainted. If he was in shock for a long time without emergency treatment, his life would be in danger. That's right. Since that guy is so unloyal, we will help you deal with him. Nieli hurriedly said. The few of us are from big families in Beijing. It's easy for us to find out about someone. We can help you find out who Su Yun's weakness is in the shortest time possible. Christian snorted disdainfully and threw Nieli aside. I know better than you who his weakness is. Christian wouldn't repeat the old method of the 12 heavenly stars. He believed that after the first experience, the other party would definitely be prepared. Therefore, even if Su Yun wasn't in Xinjiang, it wouldn't be that easy to succeed in Xinjiang. Instead of taking the initiative to enter the enemy's encirclement, it would be better to lure the enemy out himself. It would be much easier to deal with Su Yun alone. Although Su Yun had said over the phone that he wouldn't come, Christian's strong sixth sense told him that Su Yun would definitely come. Since you know his weakness, what use do you have for us? Diqing said. Just let us go. We're really useless. We'll only be an eyesore if we stay here. Christian's lips curled up into a sinister sneer. But I don't think so. I think you guys are still quite useful. Why don't we make a bet? Su Yun will definitely come later. If he doesn't come, I'll let you guys go. If he comes, I'll let you guys die with him. What do you guys say? Chapter 1369. What the hell does this guy mean? Fu Tian's face was full of confusion. Is there something wrong with his ears? Didn't he hear what he said? Su Yun had told them very clearly that he would not come. Is there something wrong with this foreigner? What kind of person is Su Yun? I'm afraid that you, as his friends, don't know him as well as me, his opponent, Christian said proudly. Christian said proudly, then let me tell you what kind of person Su Yun is. As his opponent, and it could even be said that he was the most important opponent in his life, Christian naturally had to put a lot of effort into Su Yun. General Ade was in a high position and had a lot of information under him, so it was easy for Christian to understand Su Yun. Getting this information was also thanks to the PRISM monitoring system. Although in recent days, because Snowden exposed their surveillance in the United States, they lost a lot of secret information channels, but the information they had before was enough for Christian to understand Su Yun. Christian knew all the information about Su Yun that the United States had obtained before. Su Yun was a person who could go berserk because of the death of his companions, and his inner demons could even erode his own soul. How could such a person not be loyal? Loyalty was not a trait that could be mentioned in front of him. It was simply his nature, something that he was born with. Just now, Su Yun rejected Fu Tian so quickly, which was quite disappointing in Fu Tian's eyes. But in Christian's eyes, he did not think so. He was 100% sure that Su Yun would come. And his rejection over the phone was nothing more than a bewitching bomb. It was to let him relax and think that he would not come, and then suddenly appear to kill him. This was the way Yanlong and Su Yun behaved. Christian was a little complacent, not because he exposed Su Yun's scheme, but because he was able to get Su Yun out in such a short time. This was simply faster than he had imagined. If the general knew that he got rid of Yanlong so quickly, he really didn't know what kind of reward the general would give him. Su Yun should be the most loyal opponent I have ever seen, so using his friends as bait is the best way. Christian said lightly, I can guarantee that since you found him, no matter how busy he is, he will take the time to see what is going on. After all, you are the kind of person who is willing to sacrifice your life to protect him. Su Yun appreciates you and makes friends with you because you are loyal. Everything you do is for your friends. You mean, Brother Yun, he will come? Why would he come? Fu Tian certainly couldn't believe it, but this guy's analysis seemed to make some sense. Christian laughed and said, You will make a great sacrifice for your brothers. This shows that your character is really similar to Su Yun. Do you think that people like him will casually make friends with ordinary people? Since you can contact him, it shows that he thinks highly of you and treats you as a friend. As long as he treats you as a friend, he will never let you be in trouble and not care. This is Su Yun's character. So I can guarantee that he will appear, and he will appear soon. After a pause, Christian continued. Don't forget, you have already told him the most important information. You are in Maple Forest Park. He only needs to know the destination, and that is enough. You mean, Brother Yun wants to attack by surprise? Fu Tian said. He said that he won't come, but in fact he will come? So, the reason he said that is to make you relax your vigilance, right? You're right about that. Christian smiled faintly. Su Yun is not a brainless man. Before he does anything, he will have his own analysis and judgment. He knows better than anyone what is best for him. Fu Tian, who had given up, suddenly realized that Su Yun had really returned. He couldn't help but worry about Su Yun. If that was really Big Brother Yun's plan, then that B***starred had already exposed his plan. What was he going to do? Not only would this not make him relax his vigilance, but it would also make him more cautious. This would be even more disadvantageous for Su Yun. As soon as he thought of this, Fu Tian panicked. Compared to the current situation, he seemed to hope that Su Yun would not come here. If he did not come, this foreign grandson's plot would not succeed. This is a game between me and him. It is your honor to be able to participate in it, Christian said faintly. Christian said indifferently, There's no point in keeping you now. Of course, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to meet Su Yun so quickly. So, in order to express my gratitude, I will spare your lives. Nieli swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva. Does that mean that we can leave now? They had already sobered up from the alcohol. Now they just wanted to go to the hospital to save people as soon as possible. They really couldn't afford to delay any longer. You let them go. If you are worried, I will stay here. Fu Tian said. As long as I am here, I won't play any tricks. In this way, you can rest assured. They can also go to the hospital earlier. It is a good thing for all of us. It is definitely a good thing for all of you. But it is not necessarily for me, Christian said faintly. I said that I will spare you, but it doesn't mean that I will let you go. When you wake up, everything will be over. As soon as he finished speaking, Christian made his move. Fu Tian and the rest could not follow his speed with their naked eyes. In the blink of an eye, they were all knocked unconscious on the ground. Only Fu Tian and Diqing were left. Just as Christian was about to attack Fu Tian, Diqing still stood up to block the knife for his brother, just like before. Unfortunately, Christian's hand knife was far more powerful and terrifying than the knife. In just one move, Diqing completely lost consciousness. When his mind was blank, he regretted that he did not bring Xiong Zhozhou to this party. If Xiong Zhozhou was also there, perhaps the current situation would not be like this. Seeing that all his brothers had fainted, Fu Tian knew very well that they were already powerless. You will definitely regret provoking Brother Yin, I promise you. You will also definitely regret provoking me like this. Christian grinned and hit the back of Fu Tian's neck harder than before. Fu Tian only felt as if his whole body was paralyzed. Before he could carefully experience this feeling, his brain buzzed and he completely lost consciousness. Perhaps this feeling was no different from death? What Christian had to do next was to wait for him to come. Christian's guess was right. Of course, Su Yin would not leave a friend who had called him for help alone. The reason why he had hung up the phone directly was indeed to use this method to paralyze the other party. If Su Yin's guess was right, if Fu Tian had been kidnapped, he would definitely not have called him, unless his brain grew on a pig's butt. If he had called him, it must be that this matter could only be solved through him. If he did not go, Fu Tian would definitely not be able to get through this today. After all, Fu Tian's character was not bad, and he was also quite loyal. Su Yin definitely could not ignore him. Therefore, after hanging up the phone call with Fu Tian, Su Yin immediately got dressed and prepared to go to Maple Forest Park to see what had happened. Although the Dragon Brigade headquarters was quite far from Maple Forest Park, he still had to go. If he did not go, he would not be able to rest assured. Tonight, the people on duty at the entrance were Songlong Xingzhu and Soaring Dragon Guan Liang from the Dragon Battle Special Forces. They were quite surprised to see Su Yin going out so late. Leader Yin, why are you going out so late? Is there anything you need us to help with? Just meeting a friend. It's not a big deal. Su Yin smiled slightly. He did not want to trouble the brigade with his own matters. Because Su Yin was a person with a special identity, the brigade had given him special amnesty. Therefore, he could go out whenever he wanted to. Xingzhe and Guan Liang immediately opened the door for Su Yin to go out. Chapter 1370. Su Yin rushed towards Maple Forest Park. Just who could force Fu Tian to seek his help in order to escape? He really could not think of anyone. Could it be those Lamborghini driving fellows who were opposing them? Although they were all first-rate playboys in the capital, they would usually fight fiercely, but they would not go too far. If they went too far, although their friends would not mind, their parents would be slightly embarrassed when they met. Therefore, this matter was definitely done by outsiders. Someone who would not hesitate to offend the wealthy Fu family in Beijing must be an extremely evil person. As the saying goes, a barefooted person would not be afraid of someone wearing shoes. Perhaps the other party was a barefooted person. Furthermore, it was highly possible that he had lost to the Fu family in the business world, causing him to lose everything. Under such a twisted mentality, he would take the extreme route to take revenge. Of course, these were all Su Yin's guesses. As for who the other party was, Su Yin could only determine with his own eyes. No matter what, it was best to be careful. Fu Tian's stuttering speech showed that he was still filled with fear towards the person who kidnapped them. When the car was about 2 to 3 kilometers away from Maple Forest Park, Su Yin stopped the car and walked towards Maple Forest Park. At this time, the park was already empty. Even those who liked to look for excitement in the wild had already packed up and gone home to sleep. In the entire park, other than the rustling of the trees, it was hard to hear any other sounds. In such a quiet place, any sound could be heard clearly. Therefore, it was not difficult to find someone's aura in such a quiet place. Even though these fellows were already knocked unconscious, and their aura was very weak. However, Su Yin still managed to find them very quickly. In this quiet maple forest, there were only a few weak auras. Su Yin suddenly realized that he might have fallen into a trap. When Su Yin reacted, it was already too late. Christian was like a giant eagle that descended from the sky to pounce on its prey. In a situation where Su Yun was unprepared, he directly attacked Su Yun's head. This kind of sneak attack, even the famous Yanlong would not be able to withstand it. Christian was confident that he could kill Su Yun in one move. Facing someone like Su Yun, if he couldn't finish him off in one move, he probably wouldn't be able to gain such a huge advantage in a prolonged battle. It wasn't that Su Yun didn't expect his opponent to suddenly appear and launch a sneak attack on him, but he didn't expect his opponent to be so strong. That sudden burst of murderous aura was so dense that even Su Yun felt a strong sense of suffocation. His opponent was really powerful. Su Yun held his breath and tried his best to turn around and parry, but he still couldn't avoid his opponent's sneak attack. A powerful gust of wind swept past Su Yun's back and directly hit his shoulder blade. Su Yun staggered and quickly retreated a few steps. This guy was strong, but he still liked to use such despicable sneak attacks. This made Su Yun feel quite disdainful. The word despicable was used for this kind of person. Christian's shock was no less than Su Yun's. He never expected that Su Yun would be able to dodge his most fatal attack at such a critical moment. One had to know that as long as that strike hit Su Yun's back, even an immortal would be powerless to save him. He didn't expect Yanlong to not only live up to his reputation, but also be able to dodge such a sudden attack. Brother, you're really sneaky. Su Yun's shoulder was injured, and he looked around vigilantly. He wasn't sure if his opponent had any helpers. If his opponent had helpers, then he was afraid that he would be in trouble today. Captain Yanlong of the Dragon Fury team, you really live up to your reputation. Your reaction speed is really fast. Christian smiled slightly. In a situation where there's no time to react, you can still dodge the attack with your vital parts. I'm afraid there aren't many people in this world who can do this. Captain Yanlong, is your left shoulder okay? Su Yun snorted softly. Looking at the guy in front of him who knew him like the back of his hand, it seemed that the opponent's target today wasn't Fu Tian and the others, but himself. Looking at the few people who had fainted on the ground, and the kid who had suffered such a serious injury with his arm broken, it seemed that this foreigner must have made them suffer a lot. No wonder Fu Tian's voice sounded so strange when he was talking on the phone. It seemed that he really didn't want to betray him. The opponent's goal was clear, his skills were extraordinary, and his mind was vicious. Could it be that he was one of General Aid's men that Wang Guangxiao mentioned? Su Yun was stunned. It seemed that the things he considered before coming here were too simple. You're one of General Aid's men, right? Su Yun exposed Christian's identity without hesitation. I didn't really listen to the nonsense you said just now. But now you'd better listen to everything I say clearly. Christian was very shocked. How did Su Yun know his identity? Could it be that Hua Xiao's spy intelligence had reached such an advanced stage? They could even investigate his identity. It must be known that he was secretly trained by General Ade. He was not at the same level as those CIA, FBI, and Department of Defense agents. Christian, whose identity was exposed by Su Yun, instantly felt unusually uneasy. As a member of General Aid's secret team, he had long been used to battles where he knew everything about others, while others knew nothing about him. There was a saying in Huaxia, "Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated." He had always been a person who knew himself and his enemy, and at the same time, made his opponent completely confused. Suddenly, there was a subtle change in this role, and it still made him particularly uncomfortable. His mind was now full of thoughts about how much Su Yun knew about his identity. You guys really don't know when to stop. Su Yun sneered. Let me tell you, if this is America, what you want to do is your business, and I have no right to interfere. But this is Huaxia. You have to take full responsibility for everything you do. Causing serious injury is a heavy punishment in Huaxia. You just need to be prepared to sit in jail for a long time. Christian's mouth twitched. I didn't expect that as a member of the military, you would care so much. These things should be handled by the police. You don't need to interfere. If the police in Huaxia have the ability, I definitely can't escape. But if they don't have the ability and are a bunch of useless people, then don't blame me for getting away with it. To deal with you, I'm afraid the police don't need to take action. I'll take care of it myself. Su Yan also continued to play psychological warfare with Christian. About Matthew. How many times do I have to say it before you understand? No matter how many people you have, you will still lose to Huaxia. Because Matthew doesn't want to leave, you can't find him at all. Do you understand? Christian sneered proudly. So my target is not Kevin Matthew, but you? Hee hee, it seems that I'm already a thorn on your government's blacklist, Su Yan said disdainfully. Huaxia's door is always open. You are welcome to find me. It's just that whether you can go back or not depends on your ability. Su Yan, you're injured. Don't force yourself anymore. Christian could see that the injury on Su Yan's left shoulder was quite serious. I don't have time to play a game of cat and mouse with you. I'm killing you to let Matthew understand one thing. As long as he stays in Huaxia for one more day, the people around him will be in danger one more day. Everyone around him will leave one by one because of his decision. Guess, if that's the case, will Matthew obediently follow me back to China? This guy is really a bastard trained by Adler. He really deserves it. Su Yan really wanted to ask him, does your family know that you're so despicable? Does your family know that you're so sinister? Does your family know that you're so mean? Learn how to be sinister and despicable. Look for Adler to eat sh*t in America. Chapter 1371. Matthew's heart has long belonged to his own country. There is no Kevin in this world. There is only one person called Matthew. Su Yan sneered. And this person, no matter what method you use, you will never be able to take him away from Huaxia. If you want to fight, then come and try. Let me see what kind of player you are. Christian shook his head confidently. Yanlong, you are indeed a very powerful person. Moreover, since you left the Dragon Brigade, you have improved by leaps and bounds. I know all of these things very well. I am indeed not confident that I can defeat you alone, but I am afraid that you also don't have the strength to defeat me, right? Su Yan was very confident. That is not necessarily true. If you have not tried, how can you be so sure that your information is accurate? Perhaps your intelligence isn't as perfect as you think it is. What do you think? Yanlong, don't continue to play psychological warfare with me, Christian said indifferently. The more you say this, the more it shows that you are not confident that you can defeat me. If you could really defeat me easily, I am afraid you would not talk so much nonsense to me, right? I will say the same to you. If you were really confident that you could defeat me easily, I am afraid you would not talk so much nonsense to me. Su Yan countered. Since you are not confident, why did you dare to come to Huaxia alone? The feeling of never coming back is not good. Christian would not easily admit defeat in psychological warfare. Perhaps I was not confident in the beginning, but it is different now. Your shoulder injury must be very serious. My chance of winning is above 80%, while your chance of winning is only 20%. We all know this probability. Fiery Dragon, you don't need to pretend anymore. There is no hope for you to fight with me. Since you are so confident, then the question is, why are you not fighting? Su Yan met Christian's gaze provocatively. Do you know the reason? If you don't know, I can tell you, because you only suspect that my left shoulder is injured. But whether it is true or not, you do not know. Did he want to use the provocation in his heart to see through it? Ha ha ha, it doesn't matter if I'm injured or not. Don't even think about being arrogant in front of me. The burning anger in Su Yan's body finally burst out. The conversation with Christian was indeed something that Su Yan needed to stall for time, because his left shoulder had indeed suffered a serious injury. If he didn't need this time to recover, Su Yan's left arm would always be in a state of numbness. If they fought in this state, Su Yan wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. However, he made use of his opponent's cautiousness and paranoia to prevent Christian from acting rashly. This gave Su Yan precious time to relieve the numbness in his left shoulder. Although his left arm was still injured, at least the numbness had disappeared. He would not be unable to move when facing his opponent. At this time, Christian also understood Su Yan's intention. He realized that he was crippled by Su Yan's deceit in war, and this was the best opportunity for him. It seemed that this Su Yan was not only an ordinary man who only knew how to use his fists and feet, but also a military counselor who knew how to use his brain and strategy. No wonder he could lead a special team. He really couldn't be ignored. Interesting. I like to be opponents with brains. Christian stretched out a finger and pointed at his temple. Otherwise it would be too boring. Ha ha ha, Yin Long, if we are not opponents, we will definitely become good friends, right? In Huaxia's words, it should be called heroes cherish heroes, right? Can you not think so highly of yourself? If you don't learn Chinese well, don't flatter yourself. Su Yun said disdainfully. If you are smart, you are called a hero. If you are brave, you are called a hero. A hero has the ambition to reach the clouds, the momentum to swallow the mountains and rivers, the volume of the 9 provinces, and the breadth of the 4 seas. Shoulder justice, save the people from fire and water, and save the people from hanging upside down. A hero has the ability to despise everything, and the momentum to show disdain for heroes. Not only is the world in awe of them, but they are also elusive. Facing Su Yun's 3-character classic in rhyming words, Christian really had a hard time listening. However, he could understand the central idea of Su Yun's words. That was to say, he was definitely not worthy to be a hero. He was not even worthy to carry the shoes of a hero. You are at best a bear. Su Yun said disdainfully. Other than having some strength, there is nothing else. Am I right? Christian almost got angry because of Su Yun's disdain. However, he subconsciously thought at the first moment that once he got angry, he would fall into Su Yun's trap. In a confrontation between 2 experts with similar strength, the angry party would definitely lose. This was because anger would make people lose their minds and make them impulsive. Once people lost their minds and were impulsive, they would lose their judgment. Without accurate judgment, failure was inevitable. I am not so easily angered by you. Christian's voice fell and he attacked again. He wanted to gain the initiative by striking first. No matter whether Su Yun's shoulder injury was serious or not, he had to suppress him first. According to his intelligence, Su Yun belonged to the category of warriors with terrifying explosive power. He could burst out a strong impact in a short period of time. If Su Yun burst out first, he was afraid that he would not be able to match him. Therefore, Christian's first choice was to launch a sneak attack, and his second choice was to strike first. The most disadvantageous thing for him was to wait for a counterattack. Once Su Yun seized the opportunity, his counterattack would be completely impossible. Even if he struck first, Christian also felt that Su Yun was difficult to deal with. Such an opponent was definitely not to be underestimated at any time. Christian was an elite trained by Adler. An elite would naturally not make a stupid mistake like underestimating the enemy. Of course, Su Yun would not underestimate the enemy. His left shoulder was injured, so he needed to be more cautious in the battle. The opponent would definitely grab his injured left shoulder and launch a fierce attack. This was a bad thing for Su Yun, but it was also a good thing. The bad thing was that once the opponent hit the injured part, his combat power would be weakened even more. The good thing was that Su Yun could judge this point and effectively resolve it, and take precautions in advance. This would make many of the opponent's attacks go up in smoke. Optimistically, this was Su Yun's advantage. Christian really did not disappoint Su Yun. From the beginning he attacked Su Yun's left shoulder, hoping to use this method to force Su Yun to reveal a flaw as soon as possible. Unfortunately, not only did Su Yun not reveal a flaw, but he also used this point to consume Christian's stamina in a short period of time. Christian was not a player with a strong endurance, so after a dozen rounds, his speed slowed down by half a beat. Su Yun seized the opportunity to counterattack. His consecutive unexpected and tricky moves caught Christian off guard. If it were not for Christian's battle experience, he might have really fallen in the hands of Su Yun. Facing this guy who was not weak, Su Yun realized the danger. If this continued, he would be at a disadvantage. Although the opponent's stamina consumption was large enough, he also did not conserve much stamina. Every move was a full attack. Although his shoulder could withstand for a while, it could not withstand for a night. The longer the battle dragged on, the more Su Yun needed to be treated. Moreover, the injured boys also needed to be treated as soon as possible, especially those whose arms were exposed to the bone. If it was infected, the consequences would be unimaginable. They might have to amputate their arms to save their lives. Thinking of this, Su Yin could not help but feel anxious. Christian was keenly aware of this. He was going to waste his time. The longer he wasted time, the more anxious Su Yin would be. The more loopholes and opportunities he could seize. Chapter 1372. After realizing this, Christian began to slow down his pace and switched from attacking to defending. At first, he would occasionally launch a sneak attack, but later, he simply gave up on any counterattacks and entered a completely defensive posture. He was aiming to exhaust Su Yin to death. Although Su Yin had been emphasizing in his heart that he must be calm and collected, it was impossible for him not to think about the unconscious people in front of him. This situation was bound to put Su Yin in trouble. Now he had been led by the nose by Christian, and Su Yin was clear about this. Just when Su Yin had been slowed down by Christian, Christian suddenly did something even crazier. When Su Yin was focused on finding a flaw to end the battle quickly, he changed his target to Fu Tian. He directly broke away from Su Yin's attack and quickly attacked Fu Tian. Fu Tian was just an ordinary person. Even if he was conscious, it was impossible for him to withstand the full blow of a fierce person like Christian. Su Yin came here to bring Fu Tian and the others away safely. If something happened at this time, his arrival would be meaningless. Su Yin sped up and directly chased after Christian. He must not fall into the hands of this sinister and despicable villain. Thinking of this, Su Yin's mind suddenly went blank with a buzzing sound. How could he forget the sinister and despicable nature of this guy? Christian's target was Su Yin. If he wanted to hurt Fu Tian and the others, he would have done it long ago. Why would he wait until now to provoke Su Yin in front of him? He even had to be distracted. His target was obviously not Fu Tian. Even if Christian was now pointing his sword at Fu Tian, the person he wanted to deal with was still Su Yin. And now Su Yin, who was chasing after him, had obviously fallen into his trap. At the moment when Su Yin chased after him, Christian suddenly turned around and attacked Su Yin. Su Yin's attention was all on Fu Tian, and he did not expect Christian's counterattack at all. In a flash, the two of them were close to each other. Christian had already planned to punch Su Yin's chest. Su Yin had no chance to dodge, and could only take it head-on. But at this critical moment, since he was unable to dodge, he could not let this bastard take advantage of him. When Su Yin had basically lost his balance, he lifted his leg and hooked it on Christian's crotch. Although Christian succeeded in his sneak attack with a cunning trick, he also paid a heavy price for it. With Su Yin's leg strength, although it was not enough to kick him to death, it at least guaranteed that he would become infertile, and it would be the kind that could not be cured for life. 2 balls were kicked out, and no one would be able to be a straight man in this life. Of course, Su Yin was not so optimistic now. After being punched in the chest by Christian, the degree of pain could be imagined. Su Yin could only retreat to reduce some of the force, but he still could not get rid of most of the force. In the end, he could not help but spit out a mouthful of pus and blood. Christian also retreated, but he could not use this method to reduce the pain in his crotch. Although this pain would not cause him any internal injuries, the psychological trauma was undeniable. After all, he was a man. When he thought that he would no longer be a straight man in the future, and could only play the game of picking up soap with his own kind, how could a normal man bear that kind of pain? Su Yin, you are really too much. Christian was a little hysterical. He could not bear this kind of price. Even if this mission was successful, and he killed Su Yin 1,000 times, it could not make up for the trauma in his heart for a lifetime. Because from today onwards he was no longer a normal man. In the future, women and whatnot would have nothing to do with him anymore. Su Yin spat out the remaining blood in his mouth. This is the price you pay for causing trouble in Huaxia. How about it? Do you still want to continue? Continue? Of course. You are already destined to be defeated by me. Christian sneered. This time, I can be very sure of your injury. Unless someone comes to help you. Otherwise, you can only die in my hands. You lost. Even if it leaves a lifetime of pain in my body, you still lost. The final winner is me, it's me. Kevin Matthew will still go back to America with me. Did he lose? Su Yin smiled bitterly in his heart. Indeed, He really should not have been careless. But no matter who it was, they would not have thought that Adler's people would find Fu Tian and use Fu Tian to lure him out. Su Yin coming out alone was a very wrong thing to do. Being ambushed when he arrived was a mistake on top of mistakes. He even fell into Christian's trap midway, which was an even bigger mistake. All of this was because Su Yin was too concerned that Fu Tian and the others would be hurt. He really didn't know what kind of nonsense these fellows had spouted to provoke the people General Ade had arranged for them to come here. It seemed that all of this was fated. People were destined to have some disasters in their lives. If they could get through it, they would become stronger. If they could not, then they could only blame their fate. Su Yin used the last of his strength to support his body. Success or failure depended on this one move. If someone could help him control Christian, even if it was just for a few seconds, he had the confidence to fight with him. But now Su Yin could only resign himself to fate. He took a step back and got into a horse stance. His fist was like an arrow ready to be shot, and his whole body's strength was gathered at one point. Success or failure depended on this one move. Whether he could kill in one move or not depended on whether Christian could dodge it with his speed. This gamble was indeed a little too big. Su Yin knew that his chances of success were very low. His injury was still quite serious. His opponent, on the other hand, was fine except for his crotch. But now that things had come to this, he had to gamble even if he did not want to. Su Yin had no choice. Instead of waiting for death, he might as well give it a shot. Suddenly, a strong airflow burst out from under Su Yin's feet. The stone pavement directly cracked, and the gravel splashed out a few meters. Su Yin's whole body shot out like a thunderbolt, directly attacking Christian's vital part. Christian's mouth twitched, and he sneered. Su Yin was going all out, so he would definitely be the one to win in the end. He only needed to dodge this attack, and everything would be over. Su Yin definitely did not have the ability to make a second attack of this level. Come on. Let's see what you can hit me with. Su Yin suddenly saw a figure flash behind Christian. At this critical moment, an unfamiliar face appeared behind Christian. Suddenly, Christian's attention was focused on Su Yin, and he was subdued. At this time, if Su Yin used all his strength, he would definitely be injured along with the person behind him. And if he stopped, the backlash would cause his internal injuries to worsen. Moreover, he could see that the person who locked Christian was definitely not as strong as him. Christian would be able to break free from the shackles soon. Now, use all your strength. The stranger roared. Su Yin did not hesitate. His fist shot out like an arrow, and the moment Christian broke free from the shackles, Su Yin's fist also hit his chest. The huge impact caused all three of them to fly out, and they all fell heavily to the ground. With this fall, everyone's mind went blank. Although Su Yin was sure that the other party would definitely be severely injured, he really did not have the strength to chase after him, because the backlash had also caused his injuries to worsen. And who was that guy who suddenly appeared out of nowhere to help? What was his current situation? All of these made Su Yin's thoughts chaotic. In just a short 10 seconds of chaos, when Su Yin got up again, Christian had already escaped without a trace. He was seriously injured. If he did not use his last bit of strength to escape, he was afraid that he would not be able to leave even if he wanted to. Chapter 1373. Damn it. Su Yin smashed his fist on the ground. If it wasn't for his injuries slowing down his reaction, he would definitely be able to bring that bastard to justice. Humph. As expected of someone nurtured by General Ade, his judgment was quite accurate, and he could make the most accurate decision in the first instance. Between fighting and escaping, he didn't hesitate at all. Even though Christian knew that Su Yin's injuries were more serious than his, he still chose the safest and most appropriate way to deal with it. He wouldn't gamble with his life. He didn't even know who the person who suddenly appeared and restrained him was. Who knew if there would be a second, or a third? For safety's sake, Christian made the choice without hesitation. Of the 36 stratagems, escape was the best. After all, this was Huaxia's territory. The other party could summon reinforcements, but he couldn't. Su Yin was furious, but he also realized that the person who suddenly appeared was definitely injured. His full-strength internal energy was enough to penetrate Christian and injure the people behind him. Therefore, the person who restrained Christian for more than a second was definitely not in a good condition. When Su-Yun walked closer, he finally saw the appearance of the person in front of him. His appearance could be considered delicate, but the coldness in his eyes allowed Su-Yun to easily see that this was a person with a life in his hands. With Su-Yun's eyesight, it was impossible for him to see wrongly. That guy left. The reinforcement used his elbow to support his body and sat up on the ground. From his panting appearance, it wasn't hard to see that he was really exhausted. Perhaps Su-Yun's punch had caused enough damage to him. "Brother, thank you for your help just now." "You are?" Su-Yun was a little surprised. He had never seen this young man before, so why would he stand out to help him? "Do we know each other?" Su-Yun was still a little vigilant. After all, this person had appeared out of nowhere. Su-Yun couldn't be sure if this guy was one of them, or if there was any possibility of danger, so it was better to be vigilant. The young man did not avoid Su-Yun's questioning gaze. "My name is Xiong Zhozhou. Among these fellows, there is a fellow who has done me a favor. I can't just let him be tricked by someone else and not think of a way. But that person just now was too powerful. I couldn't possibly be his opponent. Later, I heard a call saying that a powerful reinforcement like you had arrived, so I've been lurking and waiting for an opportunity." After saying that, Xiong Zhozhou paused for a moment. "Actually, with your strength, you still have a high chance of winning against that guy. It's just that he tricked you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have ended up like this. Am I right? You've been hiding here all this time?" Su-Yun was startled. This guy's strength shouldn't be weak, and was about the same as Lin Ge. But if he wanted to conceal his aura so that he couldn't detect it, it was a little impossible, right? This guy's ability to conceal his aura was really not bad. Xiong Zhozhou seemed to have seen Su-Yun's doubts. "In my line of work, my profession is to conceal my aura. If I don't have this ability, then I can't eat my bowl of rice. Hee. Although it is said that the police and the criminals are not of the same family, our purpose today is the same. You can't be calculative with me, right?" "Assassin?" Su-Yun seemed to understand this. The aura concealment of a professional assassin was better than that of an ordinary expert. So although this guy's strength was not as good as his, he could conceal his aura so that he couldn't detect it. This was the basic quality of a professional assassin. This was the terrifying part of a professional assassin. Xiong Zhozhou nodded. "To make a living, I'm just making do. I'm not as good as you professional national soldiers. Hee, the income is not stable, and the social status is not high. I can't be compared to you. Among them, who do you think has done you a favor?" Su-Yun pointed at Fu Tian and the others. "It's better for me to know more about this. I don't mean anything else. After all, we are not very familiar with each other, right?" Xiong Zhozhou smiled bitterly and pointed at Di Cheng. "I said that I'm familiar with that guy, but you definitely aren't familiar with him. I came back together with him from Australia. Today, on the first day, he came to drink with his brothers. Originally, he asked me to come along, but I didn't want to disturb his brother's reunion, so I didn't agree. I also heard that Huaxia hasn't been peaceful in recent years, so I secretly followed to see the situation. I didn't expect that something would really happen." After saying that, Xiong Zhozhou shook his head helplessly. "My brain is already big. Once I encounter a problem, I even encounter such a person who is not to be trifled with. This guy is really fierce. What kind of hatred does he have with you? A national feud?" Su-Yun didn't have enough trust in Xiong Zhozhou, but this guy had helped him at a critical moment. Although his character was unknown, at least they weren't enemies. "Since you're here, I'll leave them to you. Send them to the hospital as soon as possible." "Brother, I don't have a car here, so I'm afraid it's not very convenient." Xiong Zhozhou scratched his head awkwardly. "How did you get here?" Su-Yun parked the car far away. It wasn't that he didn't want to send them to the hospital, but he had to go back as soon as possible to tell Wan Guangxiao about this matter. These people had entered Huaxiao again, and they were so strong. They had to be strictly guarded. Su-Yun couldn't be sure how many people the other party had this time. The matter was urgent and couldn't be delayed. Now that Christian was seriously injured, It was also a good opportunity for them to catch him. Although Yanjing City was big and had a high population density, as long as they worked hard, they wouldn't have a chance if they didn't look for him. As long as they searched, even if there was a 1 in 1,000 chance, there was still a chance. Su Yun was very clear about this, so he had to let one leader call for an emergency meeting as soon as possible. You only need to call the emergency center, then use these guys' phones to inform their respective guardians. You don't need to do the rest of the things. Su Yun. These were all young masters of big families. As soon as he called their families, someone would immediately come to deal with it. What Xiong Zhozhou needed to do was to call the emergency number, and then stay here. What about you, brother? Xiong Zhozhou looked back at the fainted guys. When he turned back again, Su Yun had already left. He left in such a hurry. Oh damn. Xiong Zhozhou was speechless. Isn't he leaving too quickly? Then he could only brace himself and stay here. He was really afraid that the damn foreigner would come back. If that happened, he would really have no power to fight back and could only wait to be captured. God, please bless me. Don't let me suffer so much when I just arrived in Huaxia. Xiong Zhozhou sighed helplessly. He had come here to look for someone. Now he had gotten himself into such a big trouble before he could do anything. These guys were all young masters of big families. After they were sent to the hospital to inform their families, he had to leave immediately. Otherwise, he would definitely be questioned and scolded severely. Alas, Xiong Zhozhou felt a headache when he thought of this. Di Cheng, what kind of unreliable brothers did you make? They are really capable. They even know the big shots of the National Special Forces. TSK. Awesome. Although Xiong Zhozhou was complaining in his heart, his hands were not idle at all. He quickly called the emergency center, and then took out these guys' phones to inform their families. These guys were really good. They spent their father's money endlessly. None of the names saved in their phones were nicknames. Fu Tian saved his father's phone number as Old Ghost Fu, while Di Cheng saved his father's phone number as that old bastard at home. If Di Cheng's father, who worked hard to earn money every day in Beijing so that he and his mother could live freely in Australia, knew about it, he would definitely vomit blood. Chapter 1374. Su Yun made contact with Wan Guangxiao on the way back. After hearing Su Yun's explanation, Wan Guangxiao was certain that the person was sent by Adler. The way he did things was too similar to Adler's. Every move was sinister and cunning. Wan Guangxiao immediately informed Wang Yi to hold an emergency meeting. He also rushed back to the headquarters. The matter couldn't be delayed, and had to be resolved as soon as possible. Therefore, when Su Yun rushed back to the main force, the 2 people on night duty had been transferred back. The people who replaced them were all people from the reserve forces, and the elites of Dragon's Fury and the other special forces had all entered a state of level 1 combat readiness. This matter wasn't a big deal, but it wasn't a small one. An agent secretly trained by the Americans had infiltrated Huaxia, and even set up a trap for Su Yun. He even ambushed Su Yun and injured him. This was definitely not a small matter. Wan Guangxiao knew very well that there were very few people in Dragon Brigade who could injure Su Yun in a one-on-one fight. None of the Special Forces members of the same generation could match up to Su Yun's current strength. Even a careful person like Su Yun had been tricked. This opponent was really strong. For such a strong person to be sent out by General Adler, it seemed like General Adler was determined to settle Matthew's matter as soon as possible. Wan Guangxiao liked this kind of method of settling things quickly. He would always send in a few people who weren't up to standard. He would get angry and feel that Adler was looking down on the warriors of Huaxia. Now, this was the only way to ignite Wan Guangxiao's passion. At Wan Guangxiao's age, of course, he wouldn't personally go into battle. But if his people could defeat Adler's people, that would definitely make him excited for a while. This was also a kind of achievement. This was also a kind of victory. Even though they had retired to the second line, their desire to win was still as strong as when they were young. Especially when Wan Guangxiao met Adler, his competitive spirit was incisively and vividly aroused. This was a habit formed after so many years in the International Special Forces Training Center. He probably wouldn't be able to change it in this lifetime, right? Adler. Come, I'll let you know that when you were in the training center, you lost more than you won. Later on, in some international disputes, you still lost more than you won. And now when we can't fight anymore, and it's become the era of the young people, your people still lose more than they win in front of my people. No. They keep losing. I don't intend to let your people win. Wang Guangxiao's heart was getting more and more excited by this matter. It had been a long time since he had been so hot-blooded. It seemed that his old opponent could still arouse his passion. All the elites of the special forces gathered at the scene. Wang Guangxiao let Su Yan talk about what happened an hour ago. In just a few dozen moves, the opponent's mind changed unpredictably. There were so many schemes and tricks that it could be described in Fan Duyo's words. Aya, it's impossible to guard against. Seeing that even Su Yan almost lost in a one-on-one fight, the other members of the special forces were all very shocked. After all, they were all companions who knew each other since young. Su Yan's individual combat ability had always been the best among their generation. There was really no one who could gain any advantage over Su Yan in a one-on-one fight. The opponent they were facing now was someone even Su Yan couldn't gain any advantage over. And what gave them the most headache was that they didn't even know how many people the opponent had. There was only one person who could tell what the opponent looked like, and it was a relatively similar face analyzed from Su Yan's memory, using a computer database. It could be said that they could only be sure that he was a foreigner. They knew almost nothing else. Are you feeling very confused? Don't know how to do it? When Guangxiao finally spoke. Then let me tell you, when dealing with people like them, you will definitely be confused, and quite confused. But if I don't let you do this, who else can I rely on? If you are confused, then the others will be even more confused. I don't need to say anything more. Look at Su Yan's current situation, and you should understand how dangerous the opponent is. After drinking a mouthful of water, Wang Guangxiao continued. With his strength, if I say that he is top-notch among you, you won't have any objections, right? Then what about you? How should you face such a danger? How should you deal with such a seemingly unsolvable problem? Have you thought about it? Everyone was silent. No one knew how to deal with it, but no one was afraid. No matter how powerful the Americans were, they couldn't back down. The problem they faced now was how to reduce the possibility of being used by the opponent. This group of iron-blooded men who liked to be straightforward. Although they understood that all was fair in war, it was difficult for them to continuously identify the opponent's ever-changing tricks. For example, Su Yan was already cautious enough. His reaction speed and judgment were also quite sharp, but it was still difficult for him to timely determine the tricks that the opponent suddenly used in the confrontation. What they had to prevent was this. As long as they could prevent this, then everything else would not be a problem. There is one more problem. Wang Guangxiao said. Su Yan now suspects that the opponent is more likely to enter Huaxia alone than a team entering Huaxia, because after the opponent was injured, he chose to escape quickly. Although we can't rule out the possibility that he has other companions, if there are companions, it would be better for them to surround and attack. So Su Yan's judgment is possible. Immediately, Wang Guangxiao's tone changed. But I don't think so. With Aide's character, he definitely wouldn't arrange for just one person to enter Huaxia. He wouldn't take such a big risk. So I infer that General Aide's subordinates are definitely not less than 10. And each of them received the mission independently, without any contact between them. Everyone was stunned. Why was that? Since he arranged for so many people to come together, and didn't allow them to contact each other, wasn't that the same as not concentrating their strength? For example, today, if the two of them had joined forces, perhaps Su Yan wouldn't even have the chance to stand in front of them. This was indeed not something they could understand. After all, Wang Guangxiao understood his old rival better. General Ade wanted to take them by surprise. His subordinates had already arranged a team to deal with this matter, and they had already failed. The 12 heavenly stars were an example. Now, if he arranged for so many people to enter Huaxia at the same time, wouldn't the authorities of Huaxia be suspicious? Of course not. Moreover, The elite soldiers under his command were all carefully selected to be able to take charge of a region on their own. If they were to work together without a good chemical reaction, they would not be able to accomplish anything, and would be more likely to spoil things. This was also something that couldn't not exist. When everyone thought that they were the strongest and despised others, this team would never be able to unite. In other words, these people that General Ade had arranged were indeed powerful people, but none of them could make people of the same level submit to them. General Ade must have considered this problem, otherwise he wouldn't have arranged it this way. Sending them out individually, each of their strategies and plans would be different. This would be able to catch Huaxia unprepared and impossible to guard against. Even if their own people knew that other than themselves, there were other people arranged by the higher-ups, they wouldn't have any fluctuations in their hearts. They would only do this more diligently, and think of a way to take the credit for themselves as soon as possible to prove that they were more capable than others. General Ade had thought of all these aspects, which was why he arranged it this way. In this world, who could see through Ade's plan? Perhaps only his old rival, Wan Guangxiao, could do that. Wan Guangxiao's lips curled into a smile. When Ade's buttocks lifted up, whether it was fart or excretion, he could clearly guess. Know thyself and know thy enemy to win 100 battles, Wan Guangxiao thought in his heart. Ade, this simple logic was taught to you by me. Chapter 1375. The injured Christian quickly fled the scene. He didn't even get a clear look at the appearance of Cheng Yaojin, who had appeared out of nowhere. There was no way to prevent miscalculation. Christian had never thought that he would stumble at the very beginning. Damn Su Yun. Too insidious. Christian believed that Cheng Yaojin, who came out of nowhere, must be Su Yun's accomplice. They must have planned it beforehand. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to perfectly coordinate and control him in such a short time at such a critical moment, giving Su Yun a chance to give him a fatal blow. I was too careless. I was too careless. Christian regretted it. He really didn't think of this. In fact, it was indeed so. If he could play dirty, why couldn't others? Of course they could. All is fair in war. He didn't expect that Christian, who had always been cunning, would put himself in a difficult situation. His identity was exposed, and Su Yun couldn't take him down. This directly sounded the alarm to the opponent, telling them that he was here. Presumably, Huaxia's officials had already begun to search for him. Even Christian, who was in these procedures, knew very well that he couldn't go back to the hotel he was staying in. That kind of place with many eyes seemed safe, but it was definitely the most dangerous place. The truly safe place was a place with few people. The fewer people who saw him, the better. Even if his identity couldn't be announced by Huaxia's secret executive force, he still needed to be careful. No one saw him, and no one knew his whereabouts. That was the best. Many vicious criminals, even if they didn't have special physiques, were good at hiding and hiding. These people could survive by avoiding crowded places as much as possible. As long as they could avoid crowded places, they could avoid their identity as much as possible. In this way, the possibility of being exposed could be greatly reduced. As long as you did this, the people who wanted to catch you would have to spend a lot of energy. That was only for ordinary criminals. For a master like Christian, it would be even more difficult to catch him. Not to mention that people like him had a strong sense of vigilance. His hiding ability was definitely much stronger than ordinary criminals. Christian believed that as long as he was careful enough, the other party would not be able to find him easily. Originally, the enemy was in the light while he was in the dark. Now the situation was reversed. He was like a turtle in a jar. But no matter what, he had to complete the general's mission. No matter how difficult the situation was, he had to persevere until the end, complete the final task, and give the general an explanation. Even if he were to die in Huaxia, he would make Kevin Matthew take the initiative to return to America. To a certain extent, he was General Ade's mission machine. In his mind, completing the mission was far more important than anything else. Christian, who quickly left the scene of Maple Forest Park, checked the map of Beijing's geographical location on his phone. He immediately made a judgment and headed straight for the northern outskirts with more mountainous terrain. This kind of place was more suitable for hiding. Moreover, according to some of the national conditions in Huaxia, this kind of remote outskirts of mountainous areas would often have people who were rich and powerful living there. To put it more clearly, these remote mountainous areas might be directly rented by rich and powerful people. They would build a luxurious villa and hide their mistress in a golden house. There would be an ambitious beauty who would come a few times a month to find some fun. This kind of thing was quite normal. There were quite a lot of such situations. Christian decided to look for such a place and see if he could find a young woman who was alone in an empty room. This way, he could rest and recuperate in peace and recuperate from his injuries. At the same time, he would not be short of food and drink, and he could sleep with a human pillow to hug. Thinking of this, Christian could not help but tighten his pants again. He could recuperate his internal injuries, but what about the injuries below? There was no way to heal it. This was definitely the pain of his life. Christian clenched his teeth and clenched his fists. He thought to himself, Su Yun, don't let me see you again. If I have the chance to see you again, I will definitely return this pain to you 100,000 times, 1,000,000 times. I will also let you have a taste of losing your dignity as a man. Of course, now was not the time to think about these things. Christian quickly found an unguarded parking lot. He looked around and took out a multifunction key from his pocket. He inserted the key into the car door lock. After a series of automatic electronic decoding, the car lights flashed and the door lock was opened with a click. Christian sat in the car and took out a few wires from under the steering wheel. After wiping them a few times, the car started buzzing. He directly got into the car and quickly drove to the southern outskirts of Beijing. That's right, he was driving in the opposite direction. He believed that he would soon be monitored by various parties, so it was necessary to do something. Christian ran all the way until there was not a drop of gas left in the half tank of the car. When the car could not start anymore, he stopped the car and flashed into a sparsely populated and unmonitored road. After walking for half an hour, Christian got a second car. He was still driving to a place further away from the northern outskirts. After repeating this for most of the night, he took an unlicensed black taxi and rushed to the sparsely populated mountain range in the northern outskirts. Why did he take an unlicensed taxi? Because there was nothing in the unlicensed taxi, and the driver of the unlicensed taxi would not admit that he took someone, so this was the safest way. Christian knew this because he had lived in Huaxia for a period of time, so he knew these things about Huaxia. After all, there was no such thing as an unlicensed black taxi in the United States. The sky in the east was already turning white, and Christian had just arrived at his final destination, the northern outskirts of Beijing. The situation was similar to what he had imagined. The northern outskirts with several small hills were not densely scattered with all kinds of villas. There were American rustic style, modern simple style, Chinese style, European classical style, Mediterranean style, Southeast Asian style, neoclassical style, Gothic style. There were all kinds of villas, and there was almost no overlap. This was the strength of the rich people in Beijing. This was called domineering. Where were the rich people the most? Maybe it was not Europe or America, or maybe it was not those people on the wealth list. The real rich people might not be on the wealth list. For example, Zhou Hu, who was pulled down by Wei Wuxiandao, was involved in 37 companies, petrochemical, real estate, finance, cultural tourism, and infrastructure. It was said that the confiscated property was close to 100 billion yuan. And this was only the people who could be pulled down. Were there some more powerful people who were very stable? The strength and wealth behind them were probably even more terrifying. The owners of these small villas in the suburbs were probably nothing in front of those big tigers. Soon, Christian eliminated some villas through interrogation and snooping, and finally confirmed a villa where there was definitely only one mistress at home. He was going to take this villa. After taking down this villa, at least he could rest during the day and recover from his injuries in peace. Even if there was a man coming back, it would definitely be after 10 o'clock at night. Rich people would definitely have a lot of social engagements. Christian did not hesitate any longer. He quickly sneaked into the villa, avoided the cameras, and went straight up to the attic of the third floor. He stuffed a card-like thing into the window. With a gentle push, The window opened with a click. It did not trigger the alarm. It seemed that the rich people in Huaxia knew how to protect themselves better than the rich people in the United States. Chapter 1376. Christian sneaked into the villa. Other than the sound of the bathroom washing up, there was no other sound in the room. There should be no one else in the villa except for the hostess who was washing up in the bathroom. To be safe, Christian quickly checked all the 20 or so rooms in the villa. In a room on the 3rd floor, Christian also saw a large training chair and various sadomasochistic instruments. He didn't expect the owner of this villa to have such a hobby. Even a guy from the most open country couldn't help but be amazed. This was really too rich. 10 minutes later, except for the bathroom where the sound of running water came from, the danger in every corner was eliminated. Christian sat comfortably on the large sheepskin sofa in the living room. He turned around and took out a bottle of high-end wine from the high-end wine cabinet next to the sofa. He directly uncorked the bottle with his mouth and drank a few mouthfuls without hesitation. He could recuperate well today. Christian was waiting for the young woman to finish bathing so that she could come out and give him a good massage. Only in this way could he relieve the tiredness and sleepiness of the whole night. When he was thoroughly comfortable, he could then conserve his energy and recuperate and heal his injuries. He only needed 2 or 3 days. He hoped that the owner of the house wouldn't come back in these 2 or 3 days. If the owner of the house really came back, then he could only find another family to harm. Soon half a bottle of wine was gone. At this time, Christian finally heard the sound of the bathroom door opening. Finally, there was someone who could serve him. Christian put the bottle on the coffee table. The bottom of the bottle and the table made a crisp sound. The person in the bathroom seemed to have heard the sound from the living room. She asked softly, "Why did you come back after leaving for only a few hours? Didn't you say that you would have a meeting in Shenzhen for a week?" When Christian heard this, his face immediately showed a smile. "So that's the case. That's great. I just left for a few hours and will come back after a week. Ha ha ha, that's exactly what I wanted." He didn't need a week at all. He only needed a few days. In his excitement, Christian couldn't help but take another sip of the wine. The spiciness passed through his throat and made him feel comfortable all over. "Why are you drinking so early in the morning?" The female lead, who was slowly walking over, heard the noise and smelled the alcohol. "If you drink so much every day, what will happen to you in the future? Who will take care of me then? Just treat it as if you're doing this for me. Drink as little as you can. Don't drink when you're not socializing. Why are you drinking so early in the morning? What's troubling you? Who provoked you again?" "My dear." The beautiful girl, who was only wrapped in a bath towel, was at most 20 years old. She walked into the living room while drying her wet hair. When she saw the man on the sofa, her mind went blank. What was going on? One had to know that her man was bald. Not to mention this head of blonde hair. Even his black hair was pitifully few. There were only a few strands. Who the hell was this guy? Christian turned around and smiled. The alcohol made him fearless and even made him forget about his current situation. The little beauty in front of him really suited his taste. She was a typical Oriental beauty, the kind that came from a humble family. From her neck to her arms, from her waist to her long legs, they were all so slender that it felt like they would break with a snap. Ha ha, this was his cup of tea. Christian could now be sure that he really didn't choose the wrong place. These delicate beauties were more than enough to choose models internationally. But now they could only be thrown in such a remote suburb for a man to enjoy. It was such a pity, such a pity. What a waste of natural resources. "You. Who are you?" The little beauty looked at the foreigner in front of her with a shocked expression. She didn't hear any sound of someone breaking in. This foreigner just appeared out of thin air. There were only 2 possibilities. The first possibility was that this foreigner had transmigrated here. Recently, she had watched too many movies. She really believed that such a thing was true. The second possibility was that this foreigner was arranged by that damned old man to deliberately test her. Was he actually just a bodyguard? That damned old man was really something. He actually used such a method to test her? Was he doubting her loyalty? Damn it, I've been with you since I was 18. All these years, I've only served a bastard like you. You can play with me however you want. What else do you want? You actually doubted me and found a young foreigner to test me? Get out of my house immediately. Otherwise, I'll call the police. After the little beauty guessed for a while, she realized that this matter must be that damned old man testing her. I'm not a woman who can be easily controlled. When I was 16, I already had an affair with someone. Now you're using this on me. I'll only give you 1 minute. Little beauty, don't be so unapproachable. Since I can come here, it means that there's fate between the two of us. Don't you think so? As Christian spoke, he stood up and approached the little beauty in front of him step by step. I can see your love room on the 3rd floor. I think you are also a romantic person. The two of us have similar interests. Hearing this guy actually say such shameless words, even the little beauty with the identity of Canary blushed. How dare this person be so bold? If that damned old man knew that he dared to take liberties with her, wouldn't he want his life? I've seen people who aren't afraid of death, but I've never seen such a fearless person. A foreigner is indeed a foreigner. But the Caucasian in the Western movies that the damned old man likes to watch seems to have strong, athletic ability. I wonder if this guy is strong in that aspect too? Canary suddenly realized that she was thinking too much. If she continued to fantasize, she would definitely not be able to control herself and do something with this Caucasian. If she were to be disloyal to that damned old ghost would definitely kick her away. She had wasted the best 2 years of her youth on that damned old ghost. If she were to be kicked away now, then she would have nothing to gain. At the very least, she had to get a household registration in Beijing from that damned old man. She didn't have high requirements for a car as long as it could be used as a means of transportation. Any small BMW or small Audi was fine as long as it was imported. She definitely wouldn't drive a domestic car as it would be embarrassing in front of her friends. The most important thing was her savings. Now that the yuan had depreciated so much, she had to at least get 100 or 200 million from that damned old man to ensure that she would have no worries for the rest of her life, right? There was no need to talk about small fractions like 1 million or 10 million. She still remembered when she was a few years old, her neighbor had won 5 million yuan. That was considered rich, and she thought that she wouldn't have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of her life. What about now, more than a decade later? What was 5 million yuan? Any house in Beijing's 3rd ring was worth that much, right? In the era where 5 million yuan could make one a millionaire, 500 yuan was enough for a family of 3 to live for a month. But now? 500 yuan? It wasn't even enough for her to buy a 7-piece pack of imported sanitary pads. Was money still valuable? Was there a need to explain? It wasn't valuable anymore. 10 years ago, it was white-collar workers with a monthly salary of more than 10,000 yuan. Now those with a monthly salary of more than 10,000 yuan were all losers. Therefore, Canary absolutely couldn't fall into this trap because of a moment of impulse. The secret stash she got from that damned old man was only about 3 million yuan. If she was kicked away by that damned old man now, she could at most live a carefree life with this money for 5 years. 5 years later, she would be 25 years old. At that time, she would be old and her body would start to decline. Where would she go to hook up with rich people? She wasn't a celebrity or a model. Even if she was old, there would still be rich people who liked this kind of taste to provide for her. Therefore, she had to make use of the remaining 5 years of her youth to get as much as she could from that damned old man. Even if this damned old man in front of her looked really tempting, she really wanted to suck him dry and touch him clean. But she still had to hold it in. You're not leaving, right? Fine. I'll call the police. Canary said and quickly ran to the table and grabbed the phone. Of course, she wouldn't really call the police. She just wanted this guy to quickly admit his identity. Chapter 1377. What Canary didn't expect was that not only did this foreigner not admit that he was hired by that damned old fogey to test her, but he also pounced on her. He was so fast that before she could see anything clearly, Her phone was snatched away and the towel on her body slipped to the ground. Her alluring and smooth body was completely exposed to the air, right in front of this little foreigner. Ah! It really made people feel ashamed and embarrassed. Thinking of this, Canary couldn't help but moan. She really hadn't experienced this feeling in a long time. This feeling that made her feel hot all over. That damned old fogey could only use some ice-cold tools to treat her, or rely on various blue pills to rub against her, but it was impossible for him to satisfy her needs. Now that such a thing happened all of a sudden, Canary really couldn't tolerate it anymore. She couldn't take it anymore. She really needed a man to show her proper care and love. Let her not have such regrets in her youth, right? Everything happened so suddenly that Canary wasn't prepared for it. Everything happened so suddenly that she couldn't adapt to it. In other words, happiness had come too suddenly. Forget it, I can't care so much anymore. As long as I can conquer this foreigner, and make him keep this secret with me, everything will be fine as long as that damned old fogey doesn't know about it. At most, I can use the money that the damned old fogey gave me to support this foreigner. I'll be awesome for once and keep a foreign gigolo to serve me. The thought of using her youth to serve this old fogey made Canary even more uncontrollable. She wanted to take down this gigolo. If others can provide for me, why can't I provide for others too? Isn't it just money? It's not like I can't afford it. What's the big deal? Just as Christian was about to make this canary succumb to his despotic power, she suddenly took the initiative to throw herself into his arms. She directly pushed him onto the floor. This change in reaction is too big. Women nowadays are really hard to understand. Christian looked at the kept canary in surprise, wondering what was going on in her mind. I can do whatever you want, but you have to promise me that you will never let that damned old fogey know about it. Canary said, because if he finds out, you won't be able to think of Big Sister's gentleness anymore. Do you understand what I mean? Little cutie. Christian really couldn't wrap his head around this. What does this little beauty mean? Is that damned old fogey the one who is providing for me? After thinking for a while, Christian still couldn't figure it out. It was only later that he realized that this canary had mistaken him as someone sent by that old fogey to test him. Under the seduction of a man, once a woman loses her modesty, she would be like a wolf or a tiger, biting you without hesitation. Christian was dragged into the bedroom by this canary, who hadn't been satisfied for a long time. Christian drank some alcohol, and was easily stirred up by the atmosphere. Soon, the two of them were entangled together and rolled around on the bed. Creak, creak, creak. But just as the foreplay was enough and Canary couldn't wait to dig into the bird's nest, she lost interest in an instant. After all this time, this fella is actually a coward. No wonder that damned old fogey dared to send this gigolo to seduce me. It's because he knows that this gigolo is a useless gun that only knows how to jam and not release bullets. Damn it, you made me lose interest. What else can I say to a coward? Get lost. Canary flew into a rage and kicked Christian to the side. I already said that you're a coward. You made me waste so much of my feelings. Damn it, if you dare to tell that damned old fogey about what happened today, I won't let you off. If I have a hard time in the future, you won't have a good time either. I'll tell that old fogey that you forced yourself on me. If you don't believe me, you can try and see who that old fogey will believe. Christian's mind was in a mess. Because of the alcohol just now, he had forgotten that he was a weakling. His crotch, which had just been kicked by Suyin a few hours ago, started to hurt again. But the physical pain was far inferior to the mental pain. Mental pain was the type of pain that could easily cause one to become perverted. Christian took a deep breath and almost roared out loud. He didn't want this to happen. This result was completely unbearable. There was a coquettish woman in front of him, and he was called a coward. A man's pride plunged him into extreme pain. This kind of pain was the easiest to cause one to become perverted. Christian even forgot that he was hiding here to recuperate from his injuries. He pounced on the canary who kicked him away and ravaged every inch of her skin with his huge palms. Wherever his palms wandered, deep purple bruises would be left behind. Soon, Canary's skin was no longer as tender and fair as before. Instead, it was covered in horrifying patches of green and purple. Ah, you pervert! Let go of me. You're hurting me. Canary screamed hysterically. The pain in her body was unbearable. She retreated swiftly and dodged the violent attacks of this perverted man. But her screams and dodging were of no use. Instead, it angered Christian even more. Christian flew into a rage. He grabbed Canary's hair and lifted her up, slamming her against the wall of the bed without mercy. Fortunately, the walls of the bedroom were softened, so Canary didn't break her head and bleed. However, the violent impact left Canary in a daze. She could only allow the foreigner to vent his anger on her body. Even though this guy was a coward, he still dragged her into the room on the 3rd floor, and used all the tools he had to torture her over and over again. Canary's body was covered in bruises. God knows how many times she was tortured to death by this pervert, and how many times she was awakened by this pervert splashing cold water on her. For the first time, Canary, who became a rich man's plaything for materialistic reasons, felt regret. If she wasn't so materialistic and wasn't bewitched by money, perhaps she could be a normal campus belle now, enjoying the feeling of being sought after by thousands of people. She could be in a relationship with the most handsome basketball team captain in school, and flirt with the most powerful free combat club president in school. What a wonderful life that would be. But all of this had nothing to do with her. She was afraid that she could only become a rich man's plaything. And today, she was reduced to a tool for this pervert to vent his emotions. Canary was clear that this was definitely the abyss of her life. After her body was ravaged, she no longer had the charm to attract this old fart. While she allowed this pervert to torture her, she thought to herself, God, why are you doing this to me? Am I going to die a horrible death? If you gave me a healthy family, perhaps I wouldn't be like this now. Things have already come to this. There's no point in blaming fate and blaming anyone. Canary was clear of her sorrow. Even if this didn't happen today, what about tomorrow? What about the day after tomorrow? There would be a day when something tragic would happen to her. This was the destiny of Canary. Because the moment they gave up their souls for materialistic reasons, they were already abandoned by God. What kind of good outcome would a person who had even given up on themselves want? They would never be able to achieve the kind of dream they fantasized about. Dreams were for those who were prepared, willing, and hardworking to realize them. It wasn't something that walking corpses like them could obtain for free. In fact, it was better to die as it would end all troubles. It was a pity that Canary couldn't obtain even if it was a request for death. Christian wouldn't let her die so quickly. He still had too much anger that he hadn't vented. He needed someone to bear all of this pain. And this Canary was the only candidate he could find. The tragedy was staged in such a luxurious villa. How many of those envious girls who lived in such a villa could imagine? Chapter 1378. The Dragon Brigade's meeting also lasted the entire night. Wan Guangxiao arranged the battle deployment in detail. Every team's mission was clear. Facing an old rival, Wan Guangxiao didn't dare to be careless. The Dragon Brigade's various special forces teams all had different assignments. Su Yun's main task was to track down Christian's whereabouts. This task was definitely assigned to Su Yun. After all, that guy had slipped away under Su Yun's nose. If this task was given to someone else, would Su Yun be willing? Of course not. He had lost it in his hands, so he had to find it himself. Wan Guangxiao knew Su Yun too well, so he couldn't assign this task to anyone else. No one else would take the initiative to compete with Su Yun for this person. The other teams were all mobilized to start tracking down suspicious people. Any lone American suspicious person who had boarded a plane into Huaxia in the past few days were all listed as suspects. According to the airport's surveillance, they were all eliminated one by one. No suspicious person was let go. As long as there was danger, they had to immediately arrange for people to track and monitor them. Wan Guangxiao wouldn't allow any more danger to appear. This time, it was Su Yun who had gotten into trouble. It was only because of luck that he had met a random professional killer that he was able to escape safely. If other people were in danger, wouldn't it be even more difficult to escape unscathed? This wasn't just because Wan Guangxiao didn't want to lose to General Ade. It was because he cared about every soldier under his command. Every special forces team was a priceless treasure to him and the country. Wang Guangxiao knew this better than anyone else. After a night of computer data tracking and analysis, the Dragon Brigade's investigation department finally confirmed the identity of the guy that Su Yun had met. The information was quickly submitted to Wang Guangxiao. Before the meeting was over, Wang Guangxiao gave everyone a brief summary of this person's information. Christian male, 28 years old, Mexican-American. According to reliable intelligence, this guy is very likely to have participated in the United States' many infiltration activities in the Middle East and brought back a lot of intelligence. However, this person doesn't have any official identification, so we can basically conclude that he is one of Adler's subordinates. Wang Guangxiao said indifferently. As for what kind of strength he has, Su Yun should have the most say. I won't say much. Su Yun nodded. This guy's strength was really terrifying. He was on par with himself. If he guessed correctly, his level was at least at the 9th level of the Grandmaster realm, almost breaking through to the profound world realm. This was also the reason why the Type 9 assassin Xiong Zhozhou could only control him for a second or two. In a one-on-one fight, those in the Dragon Brigade who could arm wrestle with him didn't participate in this operation because they had more important things to do. As for the brothers who were in the same batch as Su Yun, they were indeed no match for Christian. This was a fact that Su Yun had to admit. Although the opponent was troublesome, Su Yun absolutely couldn't give up because of this. The more it was like this, the easier it was to stimulate his fighting spirit. Christian was already so difficult to deal with. Who knew if there would be more ruthless people behind? Su Yun suddenly clenched his fists. He had to get rid of this person as soon as possible. Otherwise, if the opponent's strength increased, it would be more and more disadvantageous for them. Now there was only one thing that could make Su Yun feel lucky, and that was that this guy didn't target Matthew. As long as their goal was to hurt Su Yun's heart would be a lot more relaxed. After all, that bastard shouldn't be able to kill him so easily in a short time. Didn't he want to play slowly before? Then let's play slowly now. In Su Yun's eyes, there was only unswerving determination. After a night of meetings, Yumarin waited outside for the whole night. Of course, she heard about Su Yun's injury immediately. She also knew that Su Yun's injury was quite serious, and that it was a very strong person who injured him. Because of this, Yumarin couldn't sleep at all. She just wanted to check on Su Yun as soon as possible to see if there were any serious problems. This was also the order of the higher-ups, who knew that Su Yun didn't follow the orders of the higher-ups and go to the medical team for a checkup, but instead participated in this emergency meeting that stayed up all night. Wang Guangxiao didn't say anything about him either. It was probably because he knew that Su Yun knew what was going on and knew about his own body's condition. If he couldn't hold on, Su Yun wouldn't have persisted. If he thought that there were no serious problems with his body, even if you forced him to go for a checkup, he wouldn't go because his heart was on this matter. Finally, the meeting was over. When Su Yun was about to make a mission plan for the few Dragon's Fury brothers that he led, Yumarin rushed in and pulled Su Yun out. Hurry up and come with me to see how your injury is. What if it's serious? If it drags on, who knows what the consequences will be? Do you know? Seeing Yumarin rush in angrily, no one dared to say anything. They all looked at Su Yun blankly, wanting to see how their boss would solve the problem of women. In other things they believed that there was nothing that Su Yun couldn't solve, but in this matter, they definitely had the mentality of watching a good show. There was no doubt about this. Su Yun was also confused by Yumarin's sudden appearance. He could only try his best to explain to Yumarin. I'm fine. My injury shouldn't be too serious. When I'm done with the things at hand, I'll go to the infirmary to find you for a checkup. I promise you. Is that okay? When you're done with the things at hand, when will you be done? You always have endless things to deal with. Don't you need to recuperate? Yumarin was indeed very angry. For so many years, she knew how many injuries Su Yun had suffered and how much he had suffered. She cared about Su Yun's body more than anyone else, even more than Su Yun himself. Therefore, every time Su Yun was injured, the person who felt the most upset was Yumarin. Yumarin was very angry. She was angry at Chief Wan Leader. Why did he want Su Yun to participate in the mission when he knew that he was injured? Couldn't he control him with orders? So what if he didn't let him participate in this mission? Could it be that without him, the Dragon Brigade would stop moving? But when Su Yun wasn't around, all the problems the Dragon Brigade faced were solved. Why couldn't Su Yun rest when he was around? Dragon's Fury had so many powerful brothers. Black Dragon, Shadow Dragon, they were all people who could take charge of an area on their own. Things could be left to them to handle. Yu Marin was right to think this way, but Wan Guangxiao thought differently. No matter when, Su Yun was the dragon soul of this generation's Dragon Fury team. He was the spiritual pillar. Even when he was not around, Dragon's Fury people would still treat him as an existence. There would always be a few such leaders in every generation. Since they were leaders, they had to bear more pressure than others. It wasn't that Wan Guangxiao didn't want to let Su Yun rest. It was just that Su Yun himself wouldn't agree to it. He knew the talent he nurtured himself. Wan Guangxiao, who had just walked out, sneezed. Wang Yi, who was beside him, couldn't help but frown. You rushed here from home in the middle of the night. You're not wearing much. Now that the weather has changed and we're not young anymore, we should take care of our bodies. Don't catch a cold. That would be a joke to these little brats. Wan Guangxiao laughed. What cold? He didn't know what it was like since he was young. With his physical fitness, even if he was 50 years old, he wouldn't catch a cold just because of a small cold. Only you know how to joke. If I could catch a cold, my wife would definitely make chicken soup for me. After that, Wan Guangxiao looked back at the meeting room. Did Yu Marin go in just now? I probably sneezed because she was scolding me in her heart. Wang Yi was at a loss. Why would she scold you? Little Yu is so polite. Wan Guangxiao sighed. Su Yun is already injured. I still have to let him chase after Christian. Do you think little Yu won't scold me? Ah. Wang Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Then there's nothing I can do. Achoo. Before he could finish his sentence, Wang Yi also sneezed. He was stunned for a moment and said helplessly, It seems that she scolded me too. Chapter 1379. Su Yun's injuries were not light, but his vital parts were not injured. As long as he recuperated well, everything would be fine. Yu Marin was worried that Su Yun would not rest well. In the past, Su Yun was always busy when he had time. Now that such a powerful enemy had come, Su Yun would definitely not be able to stay idle. How could he recuperate well like this? Yu Marin sighed helplessly. There was really no way out. I know you won't listen to anything I say, but I still have to tell you. If you don't recuperate well, how will you deal with special situations when you encounter them? Have you thought about it? If you don't recuperate well, what if you encounter danger? What if you can't do what you want when everyone needs you? I know, I'll listen to you. Su Yun was very cooperative this time. I'll do whatever you ask me to do. If you ask me to go east, I'll never go west. If you ask me to go north, I'll never look south. There's no problem, right? You're just saying nice things. If you're really so obedient, you won't always hurt yourself. Yu Marin rolled her eyes at Su Yun. Didn't the chief emphasize to you many times that the enemy is very cunning? How can you still be fooled? How come the older you grow, the more foolish you become? Can you be more careful in the future? Su Yun's own face fell. It's not that we're not strong enough, but the enemy is too cunning. I really don't know how one leader fought with General Ade back then. To be able to train someone to be so sinister, what kind of person is General Ade? Although one leader said that General Ade lost more than he won in the confrontation between them, the chief must have suffered a lot. That's their past grudges. You don't need to worry about it. Today, all the way until tomorrow morning, I hope that you can recuperate your aura. No one can help you with this. You can only do it yourself. Yu Marin said, Wait until your aura returns to normal tomorrow, and I'm sure you can leave. Then you can leave. If you don't mind, then I can only force you to stay here. In the Dragon Brigade, apart from Wan Guangxiao and Wang Yi, the only one who could force Su Yun to stay in a certain place was Yu Marin. Boss, I think Big Sister Yu is right. You should really recuperate your aura first. Besides, when that Chris guy injured you, he was also injured. He must be recuperating right now. Tianfeng said. If you say that he's in a hurry to find him, what if he happens to have recovered his qi? At that time, you'll be the one at a disadvantage. Yes, your physical condition is also very important now. If you can't maintain a good condition, it will be very difficult for us to contend against them. Hanzhan also said, Boss, you should rest well today. We will definitely do our best to search and find clues about Christian, as soon as possible. The brigade has also contacted the police and can access the Skynet surveillance system. I believe we can definitely find clues. Su Yun of course knew that his current body was not suitable for missions. However, Christian was also injured now and needed time to recover. If they could find him before he recovered his qi, it would be much easier to deal with him. Therefore, Su Yun really couldn't stay here. We know what you're thinking. Huo Leitang also stood up and said, the opponent's condition is definitely not good now, so he won't be running around. He must be hiding in a place where he can recuperate. If we can find him in this period of time, we can avoid a lot of unnecessary trouble. Don't worry, we will do our best. We won't let go of any clues. Shadow Dragon, you have the most experience. Then we'll have to trouble you. Su Yun looked at Huo Leitang and nodded. I'll listen to Dr. Yu and stay at home to recuperate. I'll try to be able to move as soon as possible. Yes, we still need you to command and lead. Christian is just the tip of the iceberg of General Aid's unknown regiment. There are still a lot of problems left. Everyone needs you to stand up and lead the overall situation. Therefore, you must listen to Dr. Yu and recuperate well. Huo Leitang said this from the bottom of his heart. There was no need to explain how important Su Yun was to them. Only then did Beauty Yu heave a sigh of relief. There was strength in numbers. Otherwise, she might not be able to convince Su Yun, this big idiot, by herself. See, I told you that everyone will work hard. You just need to focus on recuperating your body to its best condition. A smile appeared on Beauty Yu's face. She turned to look at everyone and said, Thank you for your hard work. You must be careful. Safety first. Don't fall into the enemy's trap. Su Yun is like this now because he is too emotional. You must be careful. Sister Yu, don't worry. Our boss is in your hands. You must look after him for us. Hua Xiaolu said. If he wants to eat something or drink something, I'll have to trouble you to take care of it. Thank you, Sister Yu. Please. You're just spouting nonsense. Gong Sunlung was speechless. Dr. Yu will definitely take care of our boss more carefully than you. Do you still need to remind her? You should promise our boss that you will be as careful as possible during missions, so that he won't worry about you. Hua Xiaolu stuck out his tongue. When has our boss ever worried about me? I'm not that rash, Green Dragon. I'm not that rash. If he wants to make a promise, it's better for him to make a promise first. I definitely won't let him down. Christian's head, I'm going to get it. Don't fight with me. Let's see who can take the first drop of blood. How about it? Tianfeng glared at Hua Xiaolu. You're not rash, you're not rash. What right do you have to criticize me? Tianfeng, he's right. You really need to be careful. Don't be rash. Su Yun said seriously, You've heard about how difficult it is to deal with the people groomed by General Adea's side. I'm indeed worried about you. What you need to do is be careful, and even more careful. Tianfeng was like this. If others criticized him, he would definitely not accept it. Even if Huo Leitang and Hanzhan were older than him, he would not accept it. Not to mention that Hua Xiaolu and the others were younger than him. However, as long as it was Su Yun who said it, he would definitely listen obediently. No matter what Su Yun said about him, he would not complain at all. This was caused by worship. Tianfeng's worship of Su Yun was not just a little bit. It was worship from head to toe. Su Yun told him to be careful, so he listened obediently. Boss, don't worry. I'll definitely be careful. I definitely won't embarrass you. Brothers, then I'll have to trouble you, Su Yun said. At this time, there was news that Dragon's Fury's people were asked to look at the Skynet system's surveillance. It said that a suspicious person had been found. A person who looked very similar to Christian had stolen a car and rushed to the southern suburbs of Yanjing. They were asked to prepare to start investigating more carefully. Dragon's Fury's brothers did not say anything and immediately took action. This matter had to be dealt with as soon as possible. The sooner they found Christian, the sooner they could use his injury to subdue him. Against such a cunning and insidious opponent, there was no need to show any mercy. They would seize the opportunity to give him a fatal blow. They would not tolerate it. Chapter 1380. Everyone went to do what they were supposed to do in an orderly manner. Every member of the Dragon Brigade's special forces felt an irrepressible excitement. They knew better than anyone else what this confrontation meant. Didn't the Americans always think that they were the strongest military power? Didn't they always act like a tyrant in the international arena? But if you dare to provoke Huaxia, then don't blame us for being impolite. This show of strength had to be given fiercely. They had to let the Americans know that they couldn't afford to provoke Huaxia. They had to let them know what kind of strength Huaxia had. Usually, as a country of etiquette, we prefer to win people over with virtue. We won't easily use force to solve problems. It's barbaric to send out troops for no reason. Huaxia won't use force easily, but it doesn't mean that we don't have the strength. It's time to let the Americans know what kind of strength Huaxia has. If you don't want face, then don't blame others for slapping you in the face. You took the initiative to give us face. If we don't give you a hard slap in the face, you'll really think that Huaxia doesn't have any useful people. They've all grown up. They're more experienced than before. Yumarin looked at Su Yun. Ever since his brothers left, Su Yun had been frowning as if he was thinking about something. Yumarin was afraid that he would be worried, so she comforted him and hoped that he wouldn't think too much. I believe them. Su Yun nodded, but his brows were still knitted together. I'm not thinking about their problem. I'm thinking that, as a secret agent trained by General Ade, it's a little surprising that the police found clues so quickly. It's too fast. Yumarin smiled slightly. Isn't it good that it's too fast? People make mistakes and horses stumble. No one can guarantee that they will never make a mistake. Maybe that Christian made a small mistake and we can catch him. After all, he's also a human. It's normal for him to make mistakes. Don't worry, the Skynet surveillance is still very powerful. It shouldn't be wrong. The chief attaches great importance to this matter, so the police will definitely do their best to cooperate. I'm not doubting the Skynet surveillance system, nor am I doubting the police's cooperation and seriousness. Su Yun said calmly. I'm just suspicious. Christian is such a cunning person. How could he not know how to avoid surveillance? Even an ordinary agent should know this problem. Su Yun's consideration was certainly necessary. Not to mention ordinary agents. Even ordinary criminals knew how to avoid surveillance when committing crimes. As a high-level agent with a secret identity, it was impossible for Christian not to know such a simple principle. He exposed his whereabouts so easily. How could Su Yun not be suspicious? Su Yun didn't know if his guess was correct, but he suspected that this guy might have done it on purpose. No matter what, since his brothers had already left, Su Yun decided to calm down and adjust his breathing. He believed that they would make the right decision. If Christian left the final clue so easily, it was very likely that it was a trap. The experienced Hua Leitang also thought of this. He immediately told Hanzhan his thoughts. Hanzhan nodded, indicating that he thought so too. Everyone expressed their opinions, indicating that they shouldn't act rashly. Since the other party had so many tricks up his sleeve, no one dared to say whether this was a dangerous situation or not. After the special forces were dispatched, the special police also sent out teams to try to search. Hua Leitang immediately reported this to Wan Guangxiao, hoping that the chief could put pressure on the police to not randomly arrange people. Even the special police couldn't be dispatched. If not only did they not find the person, but they also fell into the other party's trap. It was very likely that there would be unnecessary sacrifices. Moreover, it would alert the enemy. Hua Leitang also reported his suspicions to Wan Guangxiao, saying that the clues found in the Skynet surveillance system were most likely left by Christian. Wan Guangxiao nodded, indicating that Hua Leitang and the others were very smart to have thought of this. This was definitely possible. After all, they were Adler's men. Wan Guangxiao asked Hua Leitang to continue monitoring the Skynet surveillance system to see if they could find any loopholes. However, when Hua Leitang and the others followed up with the surveillance information, they found that it was very difficult to find any clues about the car that Christian stole. It seemed that the other party had been looking for a road that wasn't covered by the surveillance system. This created another problem for them. A few hours later, there was news from the police that the stolen car was found in the southern suburbs. Now the car was empty. The surveillance was cut off. Hua Leitang and the others looked at each other. As expected of a secretly trained high-level agent, his hiding skills were really good. The reason why the other party chose to escape to the suburbs was probably because they wanted to hide better. The harder it was to find any traces of Christian, the more certain Hua Leitang and the others were that this guy was most likely hiding in some corner of the southern suburbs. It wasn't until the afternoon that they found another surveillance clue that confirmed Christian's presence in the southern suburbs. Now everyone was certain that Christian could be in the southern suburbs. However, Hua Leitang didn't immediately make a judgment. He felt that it was necessary to tell Su Yun about the situation. Although Su Yun couldn't carry out the mission with them now, his analytical ability was definitely very important to them. Moreover, Su Yun had fought with Christian before, so he more or less understood this person's mind. After Su Yun carefully listened to the clues that his brothers had so far, he quietly analyzed and thought about it for about 10 minutes before making a different judgment. According to what you told me, I feel that Christian is really not in the southern suburbs. Although all aspects of the evidence show that Christian is definitely in the southern suburbs, often the more the evidence shows that this is the case, the more suspicious we should be. Boss, you mean these clues were deliberately left by the American? Qianfeng was stunned. He can't be so evil, right? He can even do this in all aspects? How cunning does he have to be? It can't be, right? You've made him sound like a god. Boss is right. Han Zhan opened his mouth. The other party is very likely to do this kind of thing. Azure Dragon, if this person didn't have so many wicked ideas, how could he come up with such a sinister plan when he was fighting with our boss alone? Think about what one leader said. This person was cultivated by General Ade with all his heart. And it is very likely that he inherited General Ade's legacy. Maybe he can really do this to all of us, including the Skynet surveillance system. Everyone couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. If this guy was really as sinister as Su Yun and Han Zhan described, then it was too tricky, right? If they wanted to fight with such a person, they really couldn't be careless at all. Boss, then where do you think he might be? In the opposite position? Hua Xiaolu was a cautious person, so when Su Yun pointed it out, he understood it thoroughly. Thinking carefully, this was indeed a trap designed by using people's psychology. As long as they were led into it, they would be completely played by that guy. Hua Leitang took a deep breath. He didn't expect that he would almost fall into the other party's trap before they even fought. Fortunately, he came to discuss with Su Yun. It seems that to deal with this person, we have to change our thinking. We can't just go in one direction, we have to do the opposite. We can't act according to normal thinking. Once we act according to normal thinking, we will definitely be tricked by him. Yes, that's right. Su Yun nodded. Just like what Ying Long said, when we fight with this Christian, we have to change our thinking. When you use all rational analysis to determine that he is going to do something, then he will definitely not do it. Perhaps this is the real scary thing about General Ade's special agent. Then we will always do the opposite. That will be fine. Qianfeng said, let's go to the northern suburbs. Ying Long, if there are any problems, you must communicate with me first. Su Yun, we will make a decision after discussing it. The other party is too cunning. You have to be careful even if you go to the northern suburbs. Okay, got it. Hua Leitang nodded vigorously. Chapter 1381. The sky was already dark when Hua Leitang led the Dragon Fury team to the northern suburbs of Beijing. Su Yun felt much better after a day of recuperation. However, without Yu Marin's approval, Su Yun still couldn't go on a mission with everyone. How could Yu Marin not know Su Yun's anxiousness? However, she couldn't do anything about it. Su Yun's internal injuries couldn't be healed completely in a short period of time. If he couldn't recuperate smoothly, she didn't dare to imagine the consequences if Su Yun encountered those terrifying experts. If something happened to Su Yun and something happened to her, how could she be at ease? Don't worry, they'll be fine. Yumarin comforted Su Yun. We've been together for more than a year or two and we have a tacit understanding. I believe they'll be able to work well together. I promise you that I'll let you meet up with them as soon as your breathing stabilizes. Really? I'll be a dog if I lie to you. I know you're worried about me. Don't worry, I'll listen to you this time and recuperate my breathing before fighting the evil forces. Su Yun smiled. At this moment, there was another person who was wasting his time wantonly. Christian had forgotten that he was here to recuperate his breathing. He spent the entire day torturing Canary. Every time Canary wailed, he would forget himself. Every time Canary moaned, he would regain his dignity as a man. Christian used all sorts of tools to invade Canary's body again and again, completely forgetting that he needed to recuperate his breathing as soon as possible. For the entire day, Christian forgot himself and allowed himself to be immersed in this perverted excitement. For the entire day, Canary, who was kept as a mistress, was on the verge of death from Christian's torture. Canary had already figured out that this foreign gigolo definitely wasn't arranged by that damned old fogey. That damned old fogey couldn't possibly not take pity on her. This man is a pervert, definitely both mentally and physically perverted. But at this moment, she didn't have the energy to figure out how this fella entered her house. She only hoped that she could free herself from his torture as soon as possible. Even if the method of release was death, she was willing to do it. Canary couldn't tolerate it for another minute. I beg you, kill me. Just let me die. I can give you anything you want. Money, house, car, jewelry, and branded bags. Take them all. I only beg you to let me go. It was said that a pitiful person must have a hateful side. But now, it was really hard to hate this Canary who was being kept as a mistress. Canary was so pitiful that one couldn't bear to look at her. Death to her was probably a form of release. Money, house, car? What do you have? A woman like you is only fit to be a man's plaything forever. Why should I let you go when you have no self-respect at all? Christian sneered. I won't let you go. Just give up. I will continue to torture you, but I won't let you die. Ha ha ha. Don't you like to be a toy for men? Then let me play with you. You pervert. You'll die a horrible death. Canary's mind was completely shrouded in the shadow of torture. Even if I die, I won't let you go as a ghost. No matter how you torture me, it won't change the fact that you're a softie. Finally, Christian's torture completely crushed Canary's last line of psychological defense. She was clear that no matter what she did, this pervert wouldn't let her go. Since that was the case, what else was there for her to beg? Instead of begging and enduring his perverted torture, she might as well resist even if she angered him to kill her. I'm a softie? Then I'll show you how much pleasure a softie can give you. Christian mercilessly attacked again. I'll make sure you won't dare to provoke me even if you become a ghost. You want to die? Not so easy. You haven't played with me enough. Don't worry, I'll make sure you spend a long night that won't be empty. I'll let you enjoy our wonderful time together bit by bit. The torturous torture continued. Christian's aura was also fluctuating due to his inability to calm down. Finally, after torturing Canary for nearly 2 hours, Christian spat out a mouthful of blood due to his messed up meridians. The dying Canary was tied to a chair with a special tool. She sneered at the astonished Christian. How could she be so delighted to see him spitting out blood? You're sick. Aren't you going to die soon? Ha! Come on, continue. I'll see what other tricks you can come up with. You're far inferior to that old bastard. He has more tricks than you. A softie will always be a softie. You don't know how to use these tools, ha ha. Pain, mockery, inferiority complex, and messed up meridians. All of these drove Christian's emotions into a state of complete rage. He pulled Canary to the ground and frantically tried to invade Canary's body with his organs that could no longer be used normally. His anger made the usually cautious and calm special agent completely lose his mind. He only wanted to prove to Canary that he was still a man. Canary didn't resist at all on the ground. She was laughing and mocking this softy, who didn't even have the ability to rape her. What could be more ridiculous than this in this world? A softy actually wanted to rape her? Ha ha ha, what a fantasy. Canary let Christian try to prove himself on her again and again. And Christian failed again and again. In the end, all of his self-confidence was crushed by failure. He finally understood that no matter how unwilling he was to admit it, he had to face the fact that Su-Yun had turned him into a softy. Yes, everything was Su-Yun's fault. If it wasn't for Su-Yun's kick, he wouldn't have been reduced to this state. He wanted to kill him. If he wanted to kill Su-Yun, he had to adjust his breathing. He had to restore the messed up meridians as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Christian suddenly calmed down. Yes, what was his purpose for coming here? He definitely didn't find such a secluded villa to play a game of torture and conquest with this woman. Now wasn't the time for him to have fun. Now was the time for him to focus on completing the mission. Smack! Christian slapped the woman to the ground. It was all because of this woman that he forgot his purpose. She deserved to die. Poor Canary finally waited for the moment to end her life. She really couldn't wait any longer. Death was definitely a relief for her. I wonder if it's a good thing that Canary's life has ended and her meaningless life has ended. Perhaps she should really be glad. If there was a next life, she definitely wouldn't waste her time like this one. There was only one youth and one life. If she chose to be a walking corpse, she might as well end it earlier. Christian finally calmed down. After calming his mind, he began to concentrate on adjusting his messed up meridians. He believed that Huaxia's special forces were definitely not that easily deceived. He also couldn't be sure that they would fall for his trick and run to the southern suburbs. If they saw through it, they should have narrowed down the range to the northern suburbs by now, right? Time was running out, and Christian didn't dare to delay any longer. He immediately prepared to adjust his breathing. He didn't know that he was already more than 10 hours later than Su-Yun. Chapter 1382. Although it was too late for Christian to calm down, it didn't stop him from doing what he had to do next. He didn't panic after losing his rationality for a day. Instead, he quickly took out all the food in the spacious fridge and removed all the compartments. After making enough space, he stuffed the lifeless canary into the fridge. The speed of decomposition of corpses was often faster than one could imagine. Although it wouldn't rot in a short period of time, the corpse smell would definitely appear slowly. Perhaps the smell wouldn't be particularly strong in the beginning, but it would definitely be detected by people with a sensitive sense of smell the next day. It wasn't that Christian's sense of smell was misophobic, and he couldn't smell the scent of the dead. Even if he were to bury himself in a pile of corpses for a month, he would definitely be able to persevere. But if someone with a sensitive sense of smell appeared around the villa and smelled the scent of a corpse, perhaps this place wouldn't be safe anymore. For safety's sake, the cautious Christian chose the safest method, which was to freeze Canary's entire body. That way, he wouldn't have to worry about her emitting any unusual smell. Then, Christian sprayed the perfume that could be used in the villa to every corner of the room. This way, there wouldn't be any problems. No matter how sensitive someone's nose was, they would definitely only smell the perfume. Then, Christian shut all the doors and windows of the villa and turned off all the lights. In this way, this villa would be more like a place where no one lived at all. Christian was confident that no one would find him. The food in the villa was enough to survive. He only needed to persevere for 30 to 40 hours to regulate his breathing, and he would be able to fight again. Su-Yun, just you wait. Once I come out of seclusion, the first thing I want is your life. Next time, I won't give you the chance to find help to ambush me. I will tear you into pieces. After venting all the anger in his heart, Christian sat cross-legged, closed his eyes, and regulated his breathing. This method of regulating his body's chaotic meridians was secretly learned by Adler from Wan Guangxiao back then. Back then, the pressure of training at the International Special Forces Training Center was just too great. They were overdrawing their bodies every day. If they didn't get enough rest, it was very likely that they wouldn't be able to break through. Wan Guangxiao's breathing method was very effective, so after Sawadika and the others started to learn from him, More and more people started to learn from Wan Guangxiao's breathing method. Wan Guangxiao was not stingy. As long as they were sincere in learning from him, he would seriously tell them what to do. He also explained to them that Huaxia had a deep understanding of the human body's meridians and acupoints since ancient times. During that time, everyone in the training center was fascinated by Eastern Huaxia's study of tendons and veins. They were also amazed by the wonders of acupuncture points. Take acupuncture for example. Wan Guangxiao could relieve their fatigue with just a few simple needles. Of course, no one believed it at first. When they saw Wan Guangxiao pricking his legs and shoulders with silver needles, they thought he was masochistic. But later, they all understood that there were countless people who wanted to ask Wan Guangxiao for help every day. Of course, Wan Guangxiao didn't have time to give them needles. He could only teach them breathing methods to regulate their meridians. In the beginning, Adler didn't believe that Wan Guangxiao's acupuncture and breathing methods would be effective. He also secretly learned acupuncture, but it was just like drawing a ladle. It would only make people feel uncomfortable, and it definitely couldn't relieve them. Because Adler practiced acupuncture, he even crippled one of his subordinates. Since then, no one dared to give themselves needles. They all relied on breathing to regulate their meridians to relieve their fatigue. Adler also found someone to secretly learn it at that time. Because this method was really effective, even if he was training agents now, he would still teach them to use this method to regulate their bodies. Later, Adler realized that this kind of regulation could not only relieve the fatigue and pressure of the body, but also smooth out the meridians in breathing. The easiest way to get injured in a battle was to cause the breathing to become chaotic. Therefore, regulating the breathing was very important. This was the essence that Adler learned from his opponents. Of course, he would pass it on to these secret agents that he valued the most. It could be seen that the strength of agents like Christian was definitely not determined by a simple level. They were masters who learned the advantages of both the East and the West. Their strength was indeed not simple. Just based on the fact that he could fight with Su Yun and make both sides suffer, it was not difficult to see that his strength was indeed strong. This was Adler's ability to train such a powerful person. Moreover, there was more than one person like Christian under Ade's command. It was scary just thinking about it. The members of Huaxia's special forces had to work hard. Hua Leitang led the elite members of the Dragon Fury team to start searching in the northern suburbs of Beijing. They were extremely careful and looked for clues to ensure that they didn't alert the enemy. They tried to eliminate the places where Christian didn't exist by elimination. However, this method was really a little too difficult. It could be said that they didn't find anything the whole night. After spending most of their energy on being careful, it was difficult for them to think about where Christian was most likely hiding. Moreover, the scattered villas in the northern suburbs all belonged to the rich and powerful. They couldn't afford to disturb these people. Therefore, in a situation where all aspects were disadvantageous, they decided to go. After the sky brightened, Hua Leitang decided to withdraw the team. They had been highly focused for the whole night. If they continued like this, it was very likely that they would alert the enemy before they found Christian. Although everyone returned without any results, Su Yun was relieved to see that everyone was safe. His body recovered very quickly, and his breathing was basically stable. Yumarin only needed him to rest for more than 8 hours to completely stabilize his meridians. Then she would allow him to go on a mission with his brothers. Hua Leitang also breathed a sigh of relief. Boss, this matter really needs you to solve. I have a feeling that Christian is hiding somewhere in the northern suburbs. It's a very strong feeling, but I just don't know where to start. Even the resourceful Inglong didn't know where to start, let alone the others. Su Yun knew that a large part of the reason why they didn't know where to start was because they couldn't calm down completely to analyze and make a judgment. Most of their energy was used to make themselves more cautious. He didn't blame them for this. After all, the other party's sinister and cunning made them feel that it was impossible to guard against. Therefore, it was normal that they didn't know where to start. This also showed that everyone was sufficiently cautious. I trust your instincts because my instincts also tell me that the guy must be in the northern suburbs. Boss, when Sister Yu asks you to leave, We will leave immediately. We have to end this matter for him, Tian Feng said. He was quite frustrated that they couldn't catch the person for the whole night. Go and rest now and recuperate. Let's conserve our energy, Su Yan said. I think it would be more advantageous to move at night. We are in the dark, and the other party is also in the dark. Let's solve the problem at night. Let's try to complete the mission as soon as possible. No one knows what kind of person will appear next. If we can get rid of one as soon as possible, let's get rid of one as soon as possible. Yes. Everyone stood upright. Then let everything end quickly. Chapter 1383. Time passed quickly. During this time, Su Yan didn't think about any problems. He only had one thought in his mind, and that was to recover his breath as soon as possible. Finally, before the sun set in the west, Su Yan's whole body felt smooth and comfortable. He realized that he had finally recovered. Yumarin saw Su Yan's glowing face. Even without taking his pulse, she was sure that Su Yan had recovered. Go do what you should do. Complete your mission and obligations. Yumarin said faintly. You must be careful. Remember what I said. I really don't want to see you get hurt again. That will make me very sad. Really. Even if I beg you for my sake, don't let yourself get hurt again. Okay? Promise me. Yes, I promise you. I won't get hurt again, and make you worry. Su Yan grinned. Yumarin must have mustered up a lot of courage to say such words. Otherwise, with her personality, she wouldn't have said such pretentious words. Su Yan could see that Yumarin's face was completely red. He really couldn't do anything about her. Su Yan's gratitude to Yumarin was greater than anything else. If it weren't for her, he might have died many times. Su Yan also owed Yumarin more than anything else. Her only family member, her only brother, was sacrificed while following him on a mission. In the face of such a woman, who he was grateful to and owed, and who made such a request that was completely for his own sake, Su Yan could only feel gratitude. He promised Yumarin not just to comfort her, but also from the bottom of his heart. Not only would he not let himself get hurt, but he also wouldn't let others get hurt. Once someone died, only Su Yan himself would know how heavy the responsibility on his shoulders was. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, Yumarin finally said. Go, I'll wait for your good news. As night fell, Su Yan led all the elite warriors of the Dragon Fury team to prepare for battle. With Su Yan present, everyone's mentality had undergone a huge change compared to yesterday. Hua Leitang's heart finally relaxed a little. When it came to Su Yan's matter, the chief was still the wiser one. Fortunately, he allowed Su Yan to return to the army. Otherwise, the Dragon Brigade's most powerful Dragon Fury team might have fallen in his hands. Hua Leitang was a person who could bear pressure, but he also knew very well that this generation of Dragon Fury team only had one dragon soul. No one could ever take his place. Even if he had the support of one leader and Su Yan, he couldn't bear such a huge responsibility. It wasn't that he was running away, but that everything was destined. This generation of Dragon Fury, no one could ever replace Su Yan's position. This was an undeniable fact. No one could do it. Even in his heart, he only recognized Su Yan. Under Su Yan's leadership, everyone once again entered the northern suburbs of Yanjing. After arriving at this small mountain range, Su Yan's deepest impression was the variety of villas. The people living in these villas couldn't be influenced by them. Su Yan spat a mouthful of saliva in his heart. Among these people, how many of them had gotten their money from shady sources? He didn't even need to say it. Everyone was well aware of it. Some of them got their money from exploiting loopholes in the country, and some of them got their money from corruption. At least 80% of them didn't buy their villas through legal means. Of course, there were definitely successful entrepreneurs, but they were few and far between. What successful entrepreneurs liked to do the most was definitely not buying real estate, but investing to expand their business, subsidizing poor students, doing charity without leaving their names, and always choosing to contribute to the country in obscurity. They also tried their best to give back to society and help those in need. Such a person could be considered a successful entrepreneur. And would such a successful person still have the mood to build a villa on a mountain in the northern suburbs of Yanjing? Probably not. There were dozens of villas in the entire northern suburbs, all of which were quite independent. None of these people were simple people. These villas were all brightly lit, looking particularly magnificent in the night. As the saying goes, they were really too beautiful. It was probably heaven on earth inside, right? However, there was a villa without lights, which instantly attracted Su Yun's attention. Su Yun made a few simple tactical gestures, and everyone approached bit by bit according to the formation. Everyone hid their presence to the extreme. When they were about 20 meters away from the villa, Su Yun stopped, and everyone followed suit. Hua Xiaolu rubbed his nose, resisting the urge to sneeze. "Boss, is there a problem here?" Qian Feng whispered. "Why are we here? There doesn't seem to be anyone living here. I don't know which rich family threw the fixed assets here." "What do you smell?" Su Yun ignored Qian Feng, but turned around to look at Hua Xiaolu. He noticed that Hua Xiaolu was rubbing his nose. This guy had a problem. He was allergic to something. Even if it was a very faint smell, he would still feel it, and it would make him very uncomfortable. Hua Xiaolu was startled. "The smell of perfume. I'm allergic to this stuff. I can't even stand the slightest smell." This wasn't an exaggeration. If a woman 50 meters away sprayed perfume on her body, Hua Xiaolu couldn't help but sneeze a few times to feel comfortable. "There's only us here, and there's no one around. The smell of perfume." Su Yun frowned. "Where do you think it's coming from?" "It's definitely in this villa." Hua Xiaolu said. "The hostess in this villa is really hardworking. How much perfume did she use? I can smell it from so far away through the window." "Maybe the perfume bottle in the house was broken? You really have a dog's nose." Hanjan sniffed hard, but he didn't smell any perfume. "No wonder you yell every day that our feet are smelly. It's not a problem with our feet, it's a problem with your nose. You can even smell the perfume in someone else's house. You're really abnormal." Hua Xiaolu pursed his lips. "You think I want to? I'm allergic to perfume. What can I do? The more I can't stand the smell, the more sensitive my nose is." "But this villa didn't turn on the lights. There shouldn't be anyone here." Qian Feng touched his chin. "I remember that this villa didn't turn on the lights yesterday." "You didn't remember wrongly," Hua Leitang said. "There was no one in this villa yesterday. I also remember this. I didn't see the lights turned on. Maybe the owner wasn't at home these few days." Su Yun suddenly raised a question. Since the owner wasn't at home these 2 days, how can there be the smell of perfume? Is there something wrong with Hua Xiaolu's nose? "Of course not. My nose is definitely fine," Hua Xiaolu said. "The smell of perfume came from this villa. I'm sure." Qian Feng suddenly became alert. "Boss, is there something wrong with this villa?" Su Yun nodded. "Yes. Think about it carefully. This villa didn't turn on the lights for 2 days. Then all the other villas, did they turn on the lights for 2 days? Is there any villa that didn't turn on the lights yesterday, but turned on today?" Indeed, the lights in the other villas were still on. They had been on for 2 days. But what was the problem? Everyone was lost in thought. Su Yun didn't continue. He believed that his brothers could understand. This was a problem that should have been solved yesterday. Finally, Hua Leitang was the first to realize. Everyone also raised their heads vigilantly. It seemed that they had figured it out. That's right. As rich people who would care about the electricity bill, turning off the lights when going out was something that the commoners did. In the villas of the rich, the lights were specially designed. Whether it was day or night, they had to be turned on for the effect to be effective. The purpose wasn't to illuminate, but to please the eyes. Their lights were only turned off when they were sleeping in the bedroom. Other times, the lights wouldn't be turned off. How could they not understand such a simple logic? This villa didn't have lights. Obviously, there was a problem. Moreover, the smell of perfume inside proved that it was impossible for it to be empty for a long time. If there were people coming to the villa every few days, the main power wouldn't be turned off. Chapter 1384. F***CK. Why didn't we think of such a simple thing yesterday? Isn't this right in front of our eyes? Tianfeng was a little unhappy. How could he be happy after missing such a good opportunity? If they could calm down yesterday, they would definitely be able to think clearly about this matter. Damn it, it's too easy for him to be comfortable for an entire day. The others frowned. Hua Leitang was so regretful that his intestines turned green. If only he had thought of this earlier. One had to know that one day's time was enough for Christian, whose meridians were also in a mess, to recover his body. They were too cautious and wasted a good opportunity to kill him easily. Now even if that guy was still in the villa, he might have recovered his breath. Moreover, it was unknown if he had contacted his companions. Looking at the silent villa, everyone fell silent. What should they do? Barge in or wait for the rabbit to appear? Everyone's eyes were focused on Su Yun. Now they needed him to give them an idea. No matter what Su Yun said, they would carry it out without hesitation. If they barged in and there were traps inside, it was very likely that their brothers would be in danger. Su Yun did not dare to make such a decision easily. However, waiting for the rabbit to appear was so stupid. What if the opponent wanted to wait for them to be exhausted and let them guard the tree for 3 to 5 days? By then, even if the rabbit came and bumped into them, they would all be asleep, right? Moreover, Christian was not a stupid rabbit that would bump into a tree stump. Even if he was a rabbit, he was a cunning rabbit with 3 burrows. I wonder whose villa this is. If we can get permission, we can just blow it up. Hua Xiaolu muttered angrily to himself. He was really a little unhappy. Christian was already a turtle in a jar, and they still had to be careful not to get bitten by him when they captured him. They had no choice but to be on guard. Tortoises would not let go easily once they bit someone's finger. They would not stop until the finger was broken. Su Yun promised himself that he would not let any of his brothers get into trouble. If they barged in, their chances of winning would be higher. However, it would be hard to avoid some sacrifices when facing such a cunning opponent. No. As long as there was a price to pay, Su Yun would never do it. If he said he wouldn't do it, he wouldn't do it. Wan Guangxiao had asked him to take charge of such a big matter. Everyone's hopes were pinned on him. How could he let people sacrifice themselves for no reason? He absolutely would not allow such a thing to happen. Boss, you make the decision. The brothers will listen to you. Han Zhan said in a low voice, just say the word. None of us in Dragon's Fury will be cowards. No matter how cunning the other party is, they won't be able to guard against the siege of so many of us. Even if he recovers his aura, he won't be able to escape. Boss, just give the order. Although Han Zhan let Su Yunlai give the order, he had already expressed the thoughts of all the brothers. Now the only thing that all the brothers wanted to do was to rush in and ruthlessly kill the other party. It didn't matter if they were alone or not, and it didn't matter how strong they were. With so many brothers in Dragon's Fury, they really didn't believe that they couldn't subdue a few of their senior American agents. The brothers still had this confidence. If we go in, can you guarantee that no one here will be hurt? Su Yun was not an indecisive person, but after experiencing the loss of the people around him time and time again, he had no choice but to think one step further. He was no longer the brave Su Yun of the past. He knew that sometimes, even if he should use tough methods to solve problems, he would not act rashly. It wasn't that Su Yun didn't dare, it wasn't that Su Yun was afraid, but that he had more things to consider. He was not afraid, but he didn't want sacrifice and loss to be the price to achieve the ultimate goal. This was his bottom line. He wanted to ensure everyone's safety. Therefore, this decision really couldn't be made. Just as everyone was hiding in the bushes around the villa, a luxury car with a little golden man, standing on the front, slowly drove in the distance. Everyone held their breath and didn't make a sound. People who could own a mountain in the northern suburbs of Yanjing were really not simple people. For example, the little golden man logo on the front of this Rolls-Royce was not pure gold. If it was damaged, it would cost 240,000 renminbi to replace it. It should be enough to buy a Volkswagen God, right? What? Broken axle of the Volkswagen God? Sigh. Don't mess around. That was just an individual phenomenon. They were all Futakang's Zhang Quandan. No, it should be Michael Jack. It was because he was too focused on chasing Li Xiaohua from the number 4 assembly line that he neglected the quality inspection. Back to the topic. The Rolls-Royce soon stopped at the front door of the villa. The driver quickly got out and opened the back door. A man in his 60s walked out with a frown. It was unknown what kind of monopoly he was in, but he was dressed in famous brands from head to toe. Although he looked particularly young because of his years of good maintenance, it couldn't hide the few strands of white hair that leaked out from his temples. The driver who opened the door next to him looked like he had been on the battlefield. He was so fierce. However, there was no smell of the army on this driver. He should have been a mercenary. He must have fought and killed people. He had some strength and skills as a personal bodyguard. Damn. This slut. The man in his 60s angrily spat. The lights in his villa never went out, because there were always women he kept here. These women were his spiritual sustenance. His name was Dai Fugui. When he was young his family was poor, so he was named Fugui. They hoped that he would be rich in the future. When he was a teenager, his family sent him to the mine to be a coal miner. When he was 30 he couldn't find a wife. When he was 33, he finally found a mute woman to be his wife. He didn't expect that the mute woman would bring him good fortune. He started digging coal at 16. When he was 28, he was a class leader. When he was 32, he was one level higher than the class leader. Not long after, the mine manager of their district was fired because of bribery. He was honest and had the support of the people, so he was elected. In less than 2 years, the coal mine was reformed. Although the state controlled more than half of the shares, the bottom half was privatized. He had his own shares. At this time he lived a good life. He was a big mine manager. He didn't have to worry about food and drink. However, his mute wife became a pain in his heart. He couldn't take her out and lost face. Later he got lucky again and again. Step by step he climbed to the position of the head of their coal mining company. He also became a big representative. With a position he could know more powerful people. Knowing more powerful people, his position was higher. With a higher position, it was easier to make money. When he was 50 years old, he looked back. The money that caused him to be unable to find his wife was now just a pile of numbers. What hundreds of millions and billions, what was it? What was it? Bullshit. It was a pile of feces. Even if he burned money every day for the rest of his life, he wouldn't be able to burn it all. What he wanted was no longer money but women. Women that could move his heart. But at this age, what could he do with a woman? He didn't have the energy of his youth. But even so he didn't change. He kept all kinds of canaries. Even if he didn't have much ability, he still wanted to possess them. Because when he had no money he couldn't find a wife because all these beautiful girls were married to rich people. Although his wife knew about it, she couldn't say it out loud. Moreover, he didn't divorce her because she had brought him good fortune. He also gave her the material life that all women dreamed of. He had done everything he could. She couldn't ask him to have any love for her. Dai Fugui really went to Xinjiang for a meeting. But when he arrived, he suddenly received a notice that the meeting was cancelled. On the way back to Beijing, he received a call from an old friend. He was the owner of the Gothic villa next door. He said that the lights in his house were out. Did his little canary go out? One had to know that Dai Fugui had his own requirements for keeping her as his mistress. He would never allow her to leave without his knowledge. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.